According to the world situation these days, we know that all of the religions, the followers of every religion, they are waiting for some sort of messiah, a savior, because of the way the world is going. And in Islamic religion, we have a lot of text concerning this topic. One of those is like Dajjal. So this whole series is going to be covering all the aspects of Dajjal and how this fitna of Dajjal is going to come to us and how we're going to face it and the things that will need to be done to save ourselves from this fitna. This is my friend Sahil today with me. Inshallah, he'll be talking about this topic. Sahil, assalamu alaikum. I will start off with my first question, that we know that all the prophets that came to the humanity all had one agenda, which was like Tawheed, Risala and Akhirah. But besides this, we see that like every prophet has warned us against a huge calamity, a huge test, a trial that's going to befall the humanity towards the end of times. And that fitna has especially been termed as Fitnatul Masih Dajjal. So how would you explain this fitna? What is it going to be? And how do we relate ourselves to this terminology?
Well, I think first and foremost we better understand this word fitan. We have a psychology which is very unilateral. When we look at the word fitan, we actually think that something which is going to be really good, but it will have a very dark core and an evil core. It's going to be a very confusing thing.
Yeah.
Even though fitan itself does not really mean just that. If anything, at the time of Dajjal, is going to be so adverse, so devastating at an emotional level, that people who know the truth will go through the biggest state of powerlessness, helplessness, stifling, which is going to be the biggest problem for those believers. People who are not going to go through trial are going to be way more in number, because they won't be able to tell the difference between right and wrong. And that's also helplessness if you look at it from a perspective that, they did not know any better. They couldn't know any better because they were not learned enough. I'm talking about people who actually would be believers, even if they were waiting for Dajjal, and Dajjal is going to come, they won't be able to do anything about it. And that is the biggest fitan. You have to understand, when I don't know anything which is wrong, and I'm doing something which I believe is right, and I'm doing it for Allah and Rasul, it is this is a problem.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem is that I know that I am going through, this is a wrong and evil man. This man has an agenda which is against my religion, my purpose, my whole belief. All of the people are going to be running towards this man. So those are the people who are going to be a minority, will be going through the worst of the worst time. At that time, everyone they will know will be running leaps and bounds towards Dajjal.
Wow.
Everyone they love, their kids, their wives, everyone will be running towards Dajjal. And those are the people, their fathers, their mothers. At that time, it'll be such a scarcity of believers, and those are the believers who are going to go through the worst problem, which is going to be the real meaning of fitan. The real meaning of fitan is not just the fact that you can't tell from right or wrong. The real meaning of the fitan is that you can tell between right and wrong, but you cannot do anything about it. This is such a big problem that people are not realizing. It's because it's not instilled inside our psychological construct of this word fitan. Fitan is that state where my hands are tied and I can't say anything about anything, and the people who I love the most, the things that I care about the most, are going to be burnt right in front of me, because there will be a hellfire they'll be jumping into. And it is in psychology we narrate it like a woman who has 2 kids, maybe 3 kids, okay, in this case. Let me just amplify this. And one of her kids is inside the house, and the house is just caught fire. And for her to go and save the child will have a very big risk of her dying as well. So she has to decide between whether she has to save for those 2 kids, or she has to, jump and save that little child. And she has a lose-lose situation right now.
Wow.
It is such a big problem that she's in right now that it's just like, in infant psychology, the infant, when it gets hungry, it knows no language. So what it does, it cries and starts yelling. And that's something that the mother knows, that since she cannot say I'm hungry, and the fact that it knows that it does not know any language, it's conscious as a human being that I am hungry, and I know that this person is going to feed me, but I do not know how to say it, so it starts yelling. That is the exact state of the believer at that time. And the more they're going to yell, the less they're going to be believed, because that's the wrong way of preaching.
Yeah.
Because when you are actually stifling, you have to do whatever to save your loved ones. But that's the worst way of preaching. And people are like, you're so evasive, you're so aggressive, you are, you do not know what steadiness is and how to build up a whole, preface of what you're trying to build up. Where's the context? Where's the emotional plea? There's no way to actually save everybody if you're trying to come up with a hook and a claw and trying to do whatever the Dajjal is going to be doing, because the Dajjal is going to be massive. When this word does not even do justice, this massive word, to the magnitude of what the Dajjal is going to be doing at financial levels and emotional level and individual level and group level and country level and the global level and astronomical level, playing with time and everything. Everything is going to be so magnificent when it comes to the Dajjal that people who are going to be believers are going to be like, can you not see the kafara written on his forehead? But people are like, you have just lost it, man. I can't see anything written on his forehead.
Yeah.
Imagine your son saying this to you, that daddy, you've lost it. What's wrong with you? You're so biased. You're such a Molvi. You're such an extremist that you're not seeing that this is the biggest solution to the bigger problems that we have. And they could be saying that this is real Jesus Christ in flesh and bone, in spirit and in message, but they won't be able to do anything about it. And that's the biggest stifling that actually comes with this word fitan. And this is something which people are not realizing, that the more knowledge that they gain, the bigger fitan it is going to be, because the number of people who are not going to be knowledgeable, which is still true, it was true till since ever, forever, that most of the people do not have the knowledge. So those people will be banking towards whatever is the savior at that point in time, and people with some sort of wisdom will know that there's something fishy, if not everything, that they will have some sort of hints that there is something missing in this version of Jesus, or the timing of, or the way is the whole pattern that people are going to be seeing at some level, because kafara on the forehead is too big of a sign. Too big of a sign. That's not a fitan. If I can see kafara, then why? This is not a fitan. This is not even a trial. This is not in any meaning of the word fitan. Of helplessness and powerlessness, or of confusion. If I can see kafara written on somebody's head, I'm sorry, he can turn the whole sun into something else. No, like, dude, I'm sorry, but there's something on your forehead, man. Because I read about this very thing. So I know it's raining because you just said kun. Sorry, but why don't you just say kun to your forehead and just erase this first, man? You know what I'm saying? Because this is something which is bothering me.
That's one of the most confusing points. Because we've been told that he's going to be having a very clear statement written on his forehead. Then still, why won't be able to do anything about it?
Because that's why it's fitan. Because the power of ignorance and emotional flurry is going to be at its magnificent peak, and you'll be left alone, and not alone in Brazil or China. You'll be alone in your own houses, where your own mothers and fathers and sons and daughters will be ridiculing you and spitting on your face that you're the guy who's actually taking us to hell, because they could see heaven at that time, and not just this worldly heaven. They'll be actually talking about the real heaven, because at one point in time, the Dajjal is going to be promising the real heaven. You think the Dajjal is not going to be religious, man? Everything in Hadith is about religion. Everything in the Bible is about religion, the religiousness of Dajjal. Dajjal will be carrying heaven and hell. Dajjal will be saying God. These are all religious terminologies. This man is not going to be a secular liberal. This man is going to be a right-winger. This man is going to be a rabbi or a priest or a Maulvi for all we know. This man is going to be a prophet in his own claim. So he can't be talking about sin. No one who wants to go do some party will be going towards the Dajjal. People will be actually going towards a salvation.
Wow.
This man is all religious in all the texts of all the prophets, that this is a religious man coming in. You know, I'm not even talking about those right-wingers who are right-wingers in this current political arena. We all know they're not religious people. Donald Trump represents the right wing.
Yeah.
Pakistan has a right-winger party before this one.
Yeah.
So, and even this one claims to be. But the point is, these are not religious scholars. Everyone, they didn't even claim to be, and people don't think of them as religious scholars. Let alone a prophet, let alone God. At this point in time, we better understand that this is a rabbi coming in, and this guy is going to be quoting Quran and is going to be making you understand, because ulama are going to be giving bay'ah to Dajjal. Muslims are going to be giving bay'ah to Dajjal. Christians are going to be giving bay'ah to Dajjal. This is such a big problem. People are not realizing that. What is the believer going through at that time?
Yeah.
He's going through losing everything he likes, losing everyone he loves, losing every child of his. This is the kind of helplessness this man is going through. And this is the real fitan for the believers. And the worst of the worst state that he has is to flee. I mean, it's like the state of Badr. Father fighting against the son. Literally, the fight of the battle of Badr, when Abu Bakr Siddiq is fighting against his own son. You understand me? But in this case, you won't even be able to fight. And you're told to flee. Imagine the fitna at that time, that I'm leaving my little daughter and son, and it is a little like Nuh alayhi salam.
Yeah, and there's a hadith which says that a man will tie up his family, his women especially, with the chains so that they don't go follow this man, but they'll be breaking the chains and going. And you also used a word savior for this guy. I want to ask you, like, since my childhood, I've always, like, I've grown up, my friends, everyone I know, with the concept, like, at the time of the coming of the Dajjal, it's going to be like the whole world's going to be in the chaos. There's going to be too much wrongs going on in the society. It's going to be, the world would have turned to hell, and at that time the Dajjal's going to come with the kafara written. So it's going to be very obvious. So is it going to be like this, or it's going to be a different?
This is the psychology of a regular Muslim, that it's like, whatever the psychology of Al-Qariya is, very close to the Dajjal time. Some sort of chaos, some sort of devastation going on here and there at a personal level as well. But no, it's not. The worst part about Dajjal is the best part about Dajjal.
Wow, how do you define that?
The best part about Dajjal is the world is going to go through hell of famine and drought, and agriculturally the world is going to go barren for many years before the Dajjal comes in. So the time of the Dajjal is the best time in the planet. The history of the planet would not have seen that kind of prosperity and resources, because this guy will be raining like anything. This guy will be showering money. This guy will be producing dead relatives. What else do you ask for? Psychologically speaking, this is not even in our psychology. We never ever we're not trained on this psychology that the happiness is to get your dead relatives back. We don't expect it. So this is beyond the current state of psychological affairs at this when he's going to come in.
But we still know that if your child is dying and a doctor heals him, how thankful we are to the doctor.
That's not going to cut it. What if your child dies and he brings him back? That's way bigger of a state. So the prosperity is not even imaginable. This planet is going to be so happy in the time of the Dajjal. It's the happiest time ever. World peace. that ideal state. That is what the Dajjal is actually eyeing out on, and he's going to get most of it.
So you mean to say like the way he's going to be known to the people is through the prosperity he's going to bring?
He is. He's going to be
not as a person who's going to
the
be
killer,
like,
shooter, and hunting
exactly.
for no. This is not. Those people are most people are going to be having the time of their lives. Imagine, why would anyone follow this guy in such grand numbers? I'm talking about billions here. This is very evident that since, of course, we know through hadith that whatever he can do, since he's going to be doing it, he'll be speaking every language of every person. He'll be doing it's like Santa Claus amplified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This guy is going to come in and is going to be showering gifts. And these gifts are not just temporary gifts. This man is bringing people from the dead. This guy is making your agriculture the strongest thing. And when I say agriculture, all of a sudden your psychology is suppressed a little. I'm talking about those kind of bearing of the land which this planet has not even seen. You know what I'm saying? This is something which only Jesus Christ or a prophet can do, and grow that sort of fruit from the harvest that's not even possible for that kind of technology which we have right now. So this is something which we better understand. We got to reconstruct our psychology and do not think that the chaos is a sign of Dajjal. No, prosperity is a sign of Dajjal. Otherwise, what kind of deception are we looking at? This guy is so clear. He's got a kafara written, and he's claiming to be Jesus, and he's got one eye. He's got one eye. That's also another deception. That people think that he's going to have one eye and we're going to spot him. What kind of deception do you think he is? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows that. He's a one-eye guy claiming to be God. Are you kidding me? This is not how it's going to be. Not, at least not in the beginning anyway.
Yeah.
Because Sahabas never even, they did not have that psychology that, one-eye guy, so he's going to be Dajjal. Because Ibn Sayyad did not have one eye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And nor did Tamim ud-Dari talk about his one eye. He just said there's a man in shackles. He never said this guy had one eye.
Yeah.
This guy is going to have one eye at some point in time, because the Prophet describes his eye. Whatever is going to happen to him, happened to him. But Ibn Sayyad is our missing piece of this puzzle of how to construct our psychology really well. This guy has to be...
That's a very, very important point, actually. Ibn Sayyad had both eyes, right?
Yeah. So Ibn Sayyad was a regular guy.
Yeah, so why would they doubt him for Dajjal?
Yeah. Nobody said, Prophet ﷺ, you said Dajjal is going to have one eye. This little boy has two eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is something which is part of his repertoire, where he's going to have a very, very attractive personality in terms of whatever he looks like or whatever he behaves like.
Okay, so what is Dajjal? How to construct the basic picture of Dajjal? Because we have too many philosophies, stories coming about Dajjal. It's a system, it's the world politics, it's it's the power of the economists, or is it a man in flesh and bone?
Well, first and foremost, it is, I don't know why people actually start to confuse our own people by saying this is not a man. Ibn Sayyad is another example of why he's a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's definitely a man. Ibn Sayyad is not a system.
Yeah.
He was a man, so take it from the people who were taught directly by the Prophet ﷺ. And in this case, Ibn Sayyad, the Prophet ﷺ himself was there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a system. Is there a preparatory kit for the coming of Dajjal? Could be, but we're not talking about that right now, because I just told you the hadith itself says that it's going to be a very dry period for the planet. People are going to be dying from hunger before he comes, because there's not going to be any agriculture left. But this man is a man. This guy is a human being in flesh, and this man is going to be at such a level of charisma, potential for leadership. The guy can time travel. He knows some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And besides, he's going to be claiming to be Messiah. So Messiah is a man.
Yeah, but
not a system.
Not really, because Messiah is also a god for 3 billion people. You know what I'm saying? So he could be flying in the air for all we know for now, at this point of the argument. But what I'm trying to say is that this man has to have a flesh and bone for Muslims to follow, because Muslims are going to follow him blindly. Most of the women, for most of the following of his is going to be of women.
Yeah.
Not most of the women of the planet are going to follow him. That's not the hadith.
Yeah.
So it's not about an anti-feministic thing that I have an opinion for.
Okay.
His following will have more women.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that this guy has to be a charismatic leader with a lot of leadership capabilities, which are going to be manifested literally on his everyday persona, and he's going to have a lot of attraction in terms of his spirituality. He will be very correct in doing whatever he's going to be doing. He will be sinless. This guy will be sinless. The first sin of the Bible that the book of Revelation talks about the Antichrist, it says that he will be made a king of the kings until he's going to hold the temple. And after his reign, he's going to somehow he's going to all of a sudden proclaim the original sin, which is incest, and he's going to allow a man to marry his sister or daughter. And that's the first strike on the temple and the church, and that's where the declaration of Antichrist is going to come in, which means also in the Bible and in the Hadith that this man is not going to be better than the Pope, better than any rabbi, better than any scholar that we have of Islam. This man will be right on the top of the hierarchy of how correct he's going to be. And that's why most people are going to follow him. And on top of that, we will have a lot of gimmicks. He's going to be pulling a lot of things from thin air, and But I personally think that's going to come in. The miracles are going to come later on. He's going to first and foremost not convince people through miracles. Well, Allah could start from there, but since he's going to be doing so many things in terms of, because my personal belief is that as soon as he's going to start to deform, is the more he's going to use his intergalactic technology, the more it's going to get deformed. And that's where the one eye concept comes into play.
You use intergalactic technology. I think we have to talk about it.
Yeah, we will. But this guy who is going to come up with some sort of all the sorts of political solutions and financial solutions, and he's going to be really eloquent. People will be drooling over his speeches, and he will make things happen. It's not like that, He's not going to be like Obama or Putin or whatever leaders or Mandela, where they actually look for the majority of the people. He will be looking at all of the people. Yeah. Mandela looked for the South African black race. Trump or Obama is for the Americans. Yeah. Putin was for the Russians. Yeah. There is no global leader right now. We don't even have a psychology for a global leader. This is the first time this global leader is going to come in and start to join every religion together, just like the Pope tried to do once, and he was deemed as the Antichrist, because it is a psychological construct of the Christians that he's going to first and foremost come up with a unification plan. But we should also, as Muslims, know that this guy is going to come up with awesome solutions.
Even we Muslims do have a unification plan regarding the Jesus Christ, for his second coming.
Yeah,
he's going to come then.
Let's talk about that in good time as well, because that's a misconception that we have. We are going to be allied with the Christians and some Jews, but those are going to be the smallest minority from the sects of Christianity and Judaism.
Yeah, but that's very common. We think that he's gonna, all the religions are gonna come under one umbrella. That's the kind of
under Dajjal as well as Isa alayhi salam.
Yeah,
but in the first instance, Dajjal is going to be ruling for most of the time of his own time before Isa comes in and kills him.
Yeah.
But Isa is not going to live under the rule of Dajjal. Isa comes in, and the first thing he does is he goes after the Dajjal.
Yeah, but this man is also going to be claiming to be Isa before the real Isa comes. Right?
Yeah, well, that's my opinion, because the dream of the Prophet ﷺ is so clear about what Dajjal was doing in the dream. When the Prophet ﷺ dreamt that he saw Isa ﷺ doing a tawaf in the Kaaba, and with his hands on the shoulders of two different people, and they were helping him. And all behind him, the Prophet ﷺ said that I saw Dajjal literally mirroring Isa alayhi salam and doing the tawaf in the Kaaba. So that means that Dajjal is going to do whatever Isa alayhi salam did in his first coming, and he was just mirroring him to know what kind of knowledge and what kind of attributes Isa alayhi salam carried through divine means of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This guy is going to have that access through all the other means, and even if they are divine by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're just as a tester or trial for us. So he will come as Isa alayhi salam. I'll tell you why I think like that, because as soon as he comes as Isa alayhi salam, he will have 4.5 billion people following him instantly, because those 4.5 billion people are waiting for Isa alayhi salam. Secondly, I just don't make up opinions because of some sort of rationale I have. SURA E KAHF, the first 10 ayahs are against the Trinity and the concept of us thinking that God has a son. And the fact that those are the most recommended ayahs by the Prophet ﷺ, that literally kills this very concept of people thinking that God has a son, which is Jesus. So the other option is he comes as Uzair alayhi salam, which can be true as well for all we know, but because it's going to come from the Jews, and Uzair alayhi salam is the same concept in Jews, which is in the Christians about Jesus, Isa alayhi salam. So the question is, since he has a 4.5 billion people army already, so he might as well just pull this card out first. And since the Prophet ﷺ said your Lord is not one-eyed, that means we'll talk about the one eye, but he is going to claim as Lord, and the only prophet that is deemed as Lord is Jesus. So this also means that there's a lot of probability that he is going to come as a second coming of Jesus first, and then this is why, in my opinion, of course, Jesus Christ himself comes back in and kills this guy. Because if he were coming as Musa or Ibrahim, then the second coming of Ibrahim or Musa would have been done. This is how the loop is closed. So Isa alayhi salam comes in to tell everybody that this is what real Jesus looks like, and this is what real Jesus acts like. And this is the closing of the loop, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept him in the heavens of wherever he's keeping him, so that when Isa alayhi salam comes in, the first thing he does is to fulfill the need of his second coming, which is to get that deception out on his name, which billions of people are following. All of a sudden, when the Isa alayhi salam is going to come, and we know through hadith that Isa alayhi salam is not going to reclaim his throne by just convincing people that, hey, I'm the real Isa. He's just going to go in for the kill.
Okay, so I do have a question about like the second coming of Jesus, because we have among Muslims an opinion that it's not the same Jesus, it's another man, or it's just a term like that. But I guess that's not the topic. The topic is about Dajjal.
No, it's not. Even if some people think that, because there is link to Dajjal, because that is going to add to the fitan of Dajjal. Those are the people who be like, no, there is no second coming of Jesus. So when Jesus is going to come in, they'll be like, both are the same for us, man. You're also as wrong as the first one. So it's a bigger fitan. Us not believing in Dajjal as Isa or the Lord is as much of a fitan as when Isa is going to come in and we're like, no, you're not as Isa. So this is a problem. It's a big problem. That's helplessness, as you speak. How are we going to determine? So we will have to see both of them together, and the hadith says as soon as Dajjal is going to see Isa alayhi salam, from his breath and from his sight, Dajjal is going to start to melt. So he doesn't even have to kill him, just has to be there, and Dajjal is going to die.
Wow.
So this is what
that's a lot like a comic, mythical kind of concept, like he's going to melt and stuff.
We'll talk about that in the... we'll talk about it.
Because I believe there's a science behind everything that happens, so it's better we understand it in a better psychological and scientific manner. Okay, my next question is going to be, what have we been given to fight against this fitna, the fitna of Dajjal?
Legs.
As Muslims.
Legs. That's the only thing we've been given. Because the Prophet said, do not fight. You cannot fight. Only a prophet is going to come in, and if it were in my time, I would have killed him.
Yeah.
But since he's going to come in the time of Isa alayhi salam, only he is going to kill him.
Yeah.
And anybody who starts to, become over efficient and tries to play smart against Dajjal is the first guy is going to, go to fall for the deception.
Yeah.
So legs, fight, flee. That's a direct order from the Prophet. So it's not even up for debate.
Subhanallah. Yeah.
The biggest believers will not be like trying to save people from the deception of the Dajjal.
Wow.
As soon as they're going to find out, the right believers will be like, grab everybody you can and just run.
That's actually really hard to even imagine. Leaving your family in the
That's why
destruction.
we started with helplessness. That's the...
Yeah. And then we know that there's a special importance given to Surah Al Kahf for the fitna of Dajjal.
Yeah. Well, it's not special. That's the only tool that we have.
Yeah.
That's the only silver bullet for this werewolf.
Besides having legs,
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's connect legs and fleeing and going to the mountains with Surah Kahf. But Surah Kahf is a later part of how we are supposed to construct our psychology against the Dajjal.
Okay.
The first thing about Surah Kahf is that the surah is a part of 3 surahs.
Okay.
It's in a group, it's like a constellation.
Yeah.
Those 3 stars are shining really bright, and the Prophet said to Al-Mu'mineen that, like this, that Surah Isra, Surah E Kahf, and Surah Maryam. He put his fingers together and said, these are the 3 great surahs. So we have to look at Surah Kahf, and by using this hadith as a very clear indication of how to construct our psychology around Surah Kahf. Otherwise, Surah Kahf is the... I'll tell you why I'm... let me just finish this first. If you do not understand Surah Bani Israel or Surah Isra, you won't be able to understand Surah Kahf really well. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are no accidents in the greater schema of Allah ta'ala. Allah ta'ala does not do anything by chance. Everything is by design. Especially the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. So when the Prophet ﷺ said, look at these surahs together, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put Surah Bani Israel before Surah Kahf, so there's a reason behind this, and we can see it so well. It's speaking to us. Surah Bani Israel directs towards Surah Kahf so much that even a blind man can see that there's a reason why it is placed right before Surah Kahf, and it is creating a certain psychology of the human Muslims who are going to, and jinns of course, and who are going to try and understand Surah Kahf. And if they start with Surah Kahf, they will never understand. That's what the Ummah is going through, because they start with Surah Kahf and there's nothing about the Dajjal in there.
Yeah, because all we know is that just read the 10 ayah of the, these are the words of the hadith. The read, like one who keeps on reading the first 10 ayahs of the Surah Kahf every Friday is going to be saved from the fitna of the Dajjal. So how can just a recitation of
that's the preemptive medicine. That one meaning can be taken as, if I start reading Surah Kahf's first 10 ayah every day, I'm delaying the time of the Dajjal. Or maybe I'm asking for my death before the Dajjal. That's also a prayer, by the way. That I don't want to be in that time, because that's a short shot entry to hell. Most people are not going to make it in that fitna.
Yeah.
So that first 10 ayah could be a recipe for an earlier death before the Dajjal can come in. Or pushing it ahead by the prayer, by Surah Kahf's barakah, that Allah Ta'ala is just, delaying the entry of the Dajjal. It's like Surah Kahf's mechanism, we're just playing Khizr's role here by reciting the first 10 ayahs and try and, play that element of time and just push the Dajjal timing as far as we can. Because another hadith says that the Dajjal will only come when Ummah is going to forget talking about him. You know what I'm saying? So people are not going to be reciting the first 10 ayahs because we only recite the first 10 ayahs of Surah Kahf for Dajjal.
Yeah.
So naturally they will not be reciting the first 10 ayahs.
Yeah. But does reciting mean the same, like just reading
No, it
these
doesn't.
words out
No.
without
Well,
understanding?
because the Prophet ﷺ said it to the Arabs.
Yeah.
They knew the meaning of the first 10 ayahs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And plus the word tilawa means to follow.
Yeah. That's exactly.
But we think tilawa is like to read.
Yeah, plus Imam Nawawi has given us a very good handle on this. He says there are certain keys in Surah Kahf, keys which are going to be for the people who actually have the insight.
You mean keys to open the locks?
Yeah, certain
Okay.
certain hints, certain structures inside Surah Kahf which are going to be for the people who can think and ponder over these, and they're going to find it. And he said they're going to find the solution towards what they can do for the times of Dajjal, not Dajjal. Of course, nobody can do anything against Dajjal.
So before we go to Al Kahf, you were saying something about the relationship between these three surahs. So how is Bani Israel linked to Al Kahf? What's special about Bani Israel?
Psychology.
In the context of Al Kahf.
Psychology of Muslim has to be built over Surah Bani Israel. I think this is the most important surah in terms of the psychological strength of a Muslim in the time of Dajjal. And what is the psychology Surah Bani Israel is creating? It is creating a very clear psychology that a Muslim should be casual about believing that time travel is a very normal thing.
Time travel.
Yeah, Surah Bani Israel talks
Bani
about
Israel, another name is Isra wal Miraj. It's the night journey and ascension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the surah starts with literally of how Allah Ta'ala is saying that we took our Prophet in the smallest part of the night towards the seven heavens and made him go through all of that journey. And it made him see all of those great signs of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
Yeah, but there's a lot of controversy about this travel. Like you're saying time travel now. I would like you to explain it. In a dream. And some believe that it was a physical journey.
Well, no, most of the...
So what do we have to actually believe?
Yeah, it's a good question.
To understand Al Kahf?
Most of the people do believe because they read that it's a physical journey Prophet ﷺ is talking about. Otherwise, Prophet ﷺ saw many things in the dream. He saw Ibrahim alayhi salam's dream. He saw, the hell and heaven in his dream, and he saw, there's so many dreams I can only want to go through. Most of the Muslims know about so many dreams of the Prophet ﷺ. If this was also a dream, then the Arabs wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
Miraj became a very big bone of contention between believers and non-believers.
Yeah.
And so much so that they started making fun of the Prophet ﷺ that and all the Sahabas that now your Prophet has come up with this this travel. You actually believe that? So if it were a dream at any level, even a weak hadith wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, and besides, if someone sees anything in the dream, no one's going to come and question you. Oh, did you have this dream? Because everyone knows that everything is possible in the dream.
Yeah, that's why.
So what was a big thing for them to come and ask?
Even the weak hadith of Miraj, the problems of the Sahabas, that wouldn't have been here. If Sahabas at any level thought this was a dream, it would not have been a problem at any level. But it is such an array of hadith and the problems Arab were giving to the Sahabis that now I'm just talking to those people who think that those hadiths are zaif. There's so many hadiths which are zaif only on a dream. It literally is a paradox. If you believe it's a dream, then there shouldn't be any hadiths. Forget zaif hadiths. Because nobody bothers about a dream. I fly in a dream. I've seen the sun and moon in a dream. I literally have. So nobody's going to think that they're going to ask my brother that you actually believe Sahil, who had a dream that he was standing on sun, or the moon, or wherever. So it's
wow, that's a very important point actually.
Yeah, it's
for the
a
people
game
who believe
changer.
that it was a journey in a dream.
Then there wouldn't have been any text about those problems Sahabas were going through, and the Prophet ﷺ was going through of whether he's telling the truth or not.
Yeah, because no one's going to ask you about a dream.
Yeah, let alone ask your friends.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you talking about this, man? You know?
Did your friend really had a dream?
Yeah. So it's a problem. And the Prophet ﷺ, because there's so many hadith about this, of when they asked, the Prophet ﷺ told about that caravan coming in, and when is that caravan going to reach Medina. The Prophet ﷺ talked about Baitul Muqaddas at that time, and, and he was shown the whole masjid and the whole structure in front of him, and so on. And Abu Bakr Siddiq getting the title of Abu Bakr Siddiq. Where else do you think people who think Miraj was a dream? Why are you calling him Abu Bakr Siddiq? Just call him Abu Bakr. Because that's how he got. We know him. We know him as Siddiq because of the Miraj physical testimony of the Prophet ﷺ journey. Otherwise, whoever believes the Prophet ﷺ saw it in a dream, this first Khalifa is called Abu Bakr only. Okay?
Wow.
Because Siddiq is the word given. Otherwise, what do you think? Why was he called Siddiq? That's a question. A burden of proof is on you then. And there's so many things about why Miraj is a physical journey. Wow. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, so...
that's a very strong, logical argument. Wow.
Yeah, so plus the word Roya, which they think is the word of the dream, is a very recent entry in the Muslim psychology, that Roya in Bani Israel is the dream. Even the Roya in Arabic means to see. You know what I'm saying? When we say Roya, Roya te halal does not see the moon in the dream. They see it,
Yeah.
So it's the same word. I don't know why just Roya has to be a dream only. Maybe they just don't know Arabic that much, or maybe they're too biased about whatever scholar came up with his own dream of putting this as a dream.
Yeah. Or maybe they just can't make sense of this, a physical journey, so
no,
they try to find other ways.
Somehow
to
I've seen a common pattern that people who think Prophet ﷺ had a dream in the Miraj, somehow they are very pro-science. Somehow it's just a weird anomaly. People who actually believe in science just somehow just double back and all of a sudden refute, and it's like, what's wrong with you? You're the first person I expect this to be rationally placed. But since science does not really explain an actual man traveling like that, especially not without a jet, so science, maybe that's why they're too biased about science, and they think that Muslims, I don't know why we just keep on calling them humans, then Muslim psychology is...
Why Muslims are not humans?
Well, I'm just saying, Muslims are naturally humans. So these people think that we're superstitious and we came up with this stuff, then you'll have to prove a lot of things out of your own system as well.
Yeah, that's actually kind of very weird that Miraj doesn't make sense to us, but time travel, all the theories, which are not even facts yet.
And further proof of why Surah Bani Israel is such an important surah, because a new dispute has come up with. It's just most people don't dispute it, so don't worry about it. But people who are going to go through more, in time, they're going to follow a bigger population of those dream believers. I will call them dreamers for now. So the dreamer Muslims and the physical movers,
time travelers.
The time travelers, the time travelers and the dreamers. These people are going to grow in population, and this is going to become a little bit of a bone of a contention later on. Let's just say, 2, 3, maybe 4 generations from now. So this is another start of a fitna coming in right now inside our own ranks. So thank God the Jal is not a Muslim, because I can name a few who started this dream theory. This is the first deception. But this is not going to be Muslim. So the real question is, why do we want this to be a dream? I mean, that's the real question. That what do we want to gain out of putting this as a dream? Because I know what I gain out of it when I put this as a time travel. Because it sets the psychology of SURA E KAHF very, very straight up right there.
Okay.
And it gives us strength, and that the Prophet ﷺ did go through Miraj as a physical journey. And I know a scholar who actually quoted to me directly hadith that Prophet ﷺ said, I was between the state of sleeping and being awake, and when I saw 2 people coming in, felt 2 people standing on my shoulders, because he was on the floor, and they were standing up, and then one was Jibreel and one was his companion. and then the journey starts with the dialogue, and who is the third person with us, the third person, the second person is, this is Muhammad, the Prophet, and then they introduce each other, and then they start walking towards Kaaba, and then the Isra started. And this is what what the hadith they use as to build up their case that this was a dream, because he was in the state of not sleeping, not of being awake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if it said sleeping, that you have a case. We'll talk about the health of the hadith then.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even say sleeping.
Yeah.
It
denies sleeping.
Yeah. So you'll have to really come up with something better, because rest of the whole Arabs didn't think that he was asleep. The Sahabas didn't think he was asleep. He had to give proofs of how physical it was.
I guess he was even asked questions regarding.
Well, you can
describe everything.
Well, in their defense, the dreamer's defense, you can still ask a prophet if he was dreaming, because he claimed to be a.
But then there was like a caravan passing by at the same time.
No,
he
but
traveled.
Let's just say I'm a guy who believes that this happened in the dream. Then I can still ask you this question, because you claim to be a prophet.
Yeah.
So tell us, because your dream is supposed to be true dreams.
Weaker argument. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, since Arabs ridiculed the Prophet ﷺ, and Abu Bakr Siddiq, testified.
Yeah.
So this actually goes to show really clearly that Arabs were not told that this was a dream.
Okay, so we're moving to Surah E Kahf now.
Yeah,
so,
let's just
from Bani Surah Isra wal Miraj, we believe that it was a physical ascension.
No, we're not moving to Surah
E
Kahf. We're actually going to stay on Surah Bani Israel, because there's so many things, and I'm going to drag
you
this.
started time travel. Yeah, that's
Surah
it's not Isra wal Miraj.
Yeah, because.
Sahil, I'm sorry to interrupt you here. There's a story about a caravan which Rasulullah saw during his journey to Jerusalem from Makkah. Because even if it's a dream, there cannot be such a huge coincidence that he speaks to someone in the caravan in a dream, then he comes back. Can you please explain that whole story?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, because it actually has two deep meanings, this story. One is that the psychology of Isra is a totally different psychology that we have as Muslims. We think it was a road journey, even though it was not a road journey, because this story tells that that man. Well, let me tell you what the story is.
Can you please tell the whole story? Yeah.
The Arabs asked the Prophet ﷺ that if you are so true, give us some proofs. And the Prophet ﷺ said that there's a caravan that is coming in, and it's going to reach that certain day, on a certain date and a certain time, and it did reach that, because the Prophet ﷺ saw how far that was. And not just that, during his journey, he saw that there was a man inside that caravan who had lost his camel. And the Prophet ﷺ was looking from above, so he knew where the camel was. So he actually told that guy that this is where you should look.
Okay. Like he called him out?
Yeah, he called him out, yeah. And then we know he called him up from the sky, because that man said that, yes, I heard Muhammad's voice from above. So Isra was also in the air. Okay. This is the other meaning. Isra was not a land-to-land journey.
Okay.
So the other thing about this Isra was the Prophet said that I saw my brother Musa's grave, and he was praying in his grave, and I know where that grave is, during that journey of Isra. This did not happen in Miraj. Miraj is a vertical ascent up to the heavens. Yeah. So all of these things happened further.
But you can see someone praying in the grave in the dream, because right now we're discussing if it's
I'm
a
just
dream
saying
that. But the caravan thing and the guy, he actually did come.
No. Why I said about this Musa's account is so that I can tell you that this was not a road journey.
Okay.
It was a journey in the air.
Okay.
And this further proves time travel, because this journey is about 1,200 kilometers aerial distance. Okay. So this cannot be done in a matter of a second. Yeah. Or however long it took. So when the Arabs asked for the proofs, that caravan came at the right point and the right time and the right day, And this man was asked, and he said, yes, I did lose my camel, and I did hear the Prophet's voice.
Wow. Okay.
And so that cannot be in a dream, because you cannot be just saying anything in the dream. And if I see you in my dream and I tell you to do something, you're not just going to come to my home next day and say, I heard you say that.
Yeah.
So again, that's a secondary proof. The primary proof itself is Adam's asking for the proof.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever he gave as proof is secondary in this argument.
Okay.
So again, for people who really are looking into this sort of confusion, this literally nails it, that this is not a journey in the dream.
Okay. So from Bani Israel, what we have to learn is the time travel. Yes. Before we move on to Surah Al Kahf.
And not just the time travel, but the technology of time travel.
Okay.
Because these are two different sorts of technologies that were used.
Okay. Can you please explain?
The Isra was done.
What do you mean by technology?
Technology, it's a technical
it's like
term.
A mythical story.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why.
But we just believe it because we're Muslims.
We just don't. Well, I don't want to use the word "just" because that just lowers the psychology. We just believe it means
that's how most of the Muslims do, actually.
Well, I'll tell you.
That's why we can never justify it. We can never argue about it. We just say, it's a matter of our faith. He did travel and.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be said in an inferior psychological way.
Yeah.
It should be a very superior thing. Mm-hmm. Because Newton didn't say, hey, you know what, I just believe that there's gravity. He said it is gravity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the belief.
But that's very unfortunate that that's the level of.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying Surah Bani Israel is so important, because that's the Newtonian belief that we have to put in time travel.
Okay.
Einsteinian belief that we have to put inside time travel. Way more than him, actually. He was theorizing it. We actually have proof.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't just believe it. We actually believe that this is the only thing which is true. When a scientist says, hey, you know what? Einstein is proven wrong. We don't care. We don't believe it because Einstein said it. We believe because Muhammad bin Abdullah said it.
Yeah.
And we know that, if we believe at that level, we might just have a shot at, being those of the Siddiqeens.
So it means we do have a real man who experienced time travel.
Not just a lot of other people time travel, but
really?
I will come to Surah Kahf later.
Okay.
But this is where the psychology has to be constructed. And this is why I said there's no chances or coincidences in Quran. Mm-hmm. The concept of time travel, concept of angels taking Prophet in a linear direction from Kaaba to Baitul Laham, where the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
Where the ascension did take place. This is something which is Surah Bani Israel, it's not Surah Kahf. So when we understand this, and then we go to Surah Kahf, then we come to Surah Kahf really well prepared as to how to look at Surah Kahf altogether. In different chapters, you see that unless you know what all of this is all about, you won't be able to put Ashab-e Kahf's time travel and Zulkarnain's journey. Because Zulkarnain travels through the Isra this first part of Miraj is, which is Isra.
Okay.
So because Miraj is a key word which is in the Quran, and the travel of the angels through certain pathways is called Miraj or Ma'arij in plural. So even the time lapse and the time difference is also told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ma'arij as to how angels travel about in the universe, and how their one day equals to X amount of years in our planet. So Ma'arij and Miraj is a totally different concept. This is why Bani Israel Ma'arij is the plural of Miraj.
Okay. Miraj means ascension, and Ma'arij means ascensions.
The ways of ascension.
Okay, ways of, like, you can say portals?
Yeah, literally portals. These are different portals or used by the angels as per Surah Ma'arij.
That's the name of a surah. Wow. So we have a surah in the Quran.
Yeah, we have
which talks about ways of ascension.
Yeah.
Portals.
For angels.
Okay.
Yeah, and even the time differential is given in that surah.
Okay.
The time which is taken by an angel is a day at that portal.
It's like 50,000 years
on this planet.
On this planet.
Yeah. So this is something which is a very clear psychological construction of a Muslim mind as to how all of this universe is coming about and how things are going. And since Surah Bani Israel talks about two different types of travels, so we can't just say, oh, it's a Miraj, so Ma'arij. No, it's not. Isra is also there.
Okay.
So there's another way
Okay.
to travel other than the those.
So there's a
angelic
way,
portals.
there's a portal to traverse the earth, and
Yeah.
then there's a way to exit the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So there's two kinds of traveling that has
two kinds of ways.
Ways.
Yeah.
That is also. Okay.
So once we have that in order, then we can actually understand what kind of choice of words Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used in Surah Kahf.
Okay.
Because He uses certain words. And those certain words are used all over the Quran. We just somehow, don't use the meaning of those words in Surah Kahf somehow. And this is a problem that we need to solve. And this is why I said Bani Israel actually is a very key element of Surah Kahf. Its placement, its concept, and the types of journey, and time lapse, and so on and so forth. It actually creates that clarity for a Muslim mind that this is how it works. So now let's see what Surah Kahf is all about, so that we can understand that. But again, Iman is imperative here. Iman is critical. If we have that Iman in the Quran and we do not validate Quran through science, then we're good. But if we validate Quran through science, then we've lost the battle to begin with, even before the battle, because now we're looking for science, because time travel concept, as soon as I say time travel, you're going to think Einstein, you're not going to think Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Yeah.
You're not going to think Surah Bani Israel. No, that's not how we think, because
But nowadays, when you talk about time travel, it's the interstellar that I think about.
yeah. So why are we looking at any kind of spaceship?
Yeah.
Why did not we think when somebody said interstellar? Why didn't we think white horse?
Yeah.
Because that's the first interstellar that we actually found out.
Yeah.
Actually, we found that out through other prophets as well. But we're talking about Surah Kahf right now. So the real question is, where do we settle the Iman on all of these things? And what is the definition of Iman? Once we have that, and we can only know that through the Iman of Sahaba, because prophets and all the other prophets, they have a totally different matrix of what Iman is.
Yeah. So what was the psychology of Sahaba regarding all these things?
The Sahaba psychology was...
And how are we so different than them? Where do we lose the track?
We have them, and then we have a lot of opinions of 1400 years of different European and Arabian and other scholars, and even before that we predate our psychology, Saint Augustine and Aristotle and so on and so forth. So the thought process actually is inherited through a lot of clutter of a lot of people's differential of opinion, and then we get lost in the middle. Even though it should have been a very linear track from the Sahabi to the current Muslim. Yeah. And we were not told those stories, and whoever tells those stories, we have a lot of other people who are calling that superstition, even the Muslim ranks. Yeah. Or your people flew, or your Sahabis were doing this and that, and all of a sudden Hazrat Umar had a karama, and Hazrat Abu Bakr had a karama, Hazrat Ali had a karama. Oh my God, where is that proof? All of these are weak hadith. That's not the point. Even if they are weak hadith, it doesn't really matter. I'm talking about the psychology of this technology and Iman on this technology. This Sahaba had, and this is the definition of Iman. As much as a Darwinian student believes in evolution, we should have a 10 million time more belief in the way time travel is done and shown. A regular human being in the planet actually has started to believe Iman in Darwinian evolution. Even some scholars of Islam say that at some level evolution is there in terms of animals and not human beings. I don't know why they're confusing anybody. A horse was a horse when he was born a horse. A monkey was a monkey. There's no evolution like that. And even if there is some sort of evolution, it is on such a subcellular level that is insignificant, because it's a metaphysical concept. I'm not going to go in that detail, but
yeah, I think that's not the topic, evolution here.
But iman in time travel should be at the level of Abu Bakr Siddiq, nothing less. And even if Abu Bakr Siddiq did not have that sort of iman, I'm just saying for the sake of your understanding here, we shouldn't be relying on Abu Bakr Siddiq's testimony. We should be relying on Nabi Muhammad's testimony.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden we think that since Abu Bakr Siddiq said it, so it's true.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter whether Abu Bakr Siddiq, that was for his own good that he believed.
Yeah.
We should believe as Sahil Adim directly believing the Prophet's testimony. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a witness. That's against the spirit of Islam. You're not a Muslim if you believe in Miraj because Abu Bakr Siddiq said so. It's, a guy comes to Umar bin Khattab and he says, I need you to double check a case. I just, was not satisfied with the verdict. And Umar bin Khattab said, who handled your case? And he said, your Prophet handled my case. And Umar bin Khattab slaughtered him right there. Yeah. That you coming to me to actually object and critically evaluate the decision of the Prophet.
Yeah, I heard from someone that it's a daif hadith.
I don't care if it's a daif hadith, but I'm saying it's psychology. I'm using daif or Ahsan hadith in a same psychological flavor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He better have killed that guy. That's what I want.
Okay.
Because if a Muslim claims to be Muslim, he's critically evaluating Prophet, then I don't know what kind of definition of religion, forget Islam. You can critically evaluate Abu Bakr Siddiq and everybody else in the world. But you cannot critically evaluate the Prophet if we know that this is coming straight from the Prophet.
Yeah, I think there are more stories of Sahaba.
I will tell you
this kind of psychology.
But what I'm saying is, this is the finest example that I can think of. If it was a daif hadith, which of course it is, I think this is the best hadith for knowing how iman should be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just say, forget about this. These are two sahabis. My father says something, and my neighbor comes in and he says, you know what, your father is not a right man. I should be doing everything I can, which I do. And how dare you say this or that about my father? Because I have that iman in my father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not just an emotional concept.
Yeah.
It is a very rational concept as well. Otherwise, my family structure is going to break.
Yeah.
If I start critically evaluating everything my father is doing.
Yeah. An argument can be given here that what if your father really is wrong?
Yeah.
But we can't give that argument regarding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
No, what I'm not talking about Prophet here. I'm talking about the psychology of iman here. Okay, the psychology of iman has to be really, really crisp. It is not something which is to be taken lightly. If the Prophet is saying something, it is way more real than gravity. If I fall down, I'm going to get hurt. Okay? This is something which, let me tell you a little story so that you can understand, because this is a real story. The Prophet was coming into a caravan in which he looked at a horse which he really liked and he wanted to buy that horse, but he did not have the money at that time. He said, I'm going to pay you when we reach home, which is Medina. So they made a deal, and the deal was done. Okay, deal is closed. The horse is yours as soon as you pay me up. But as soon as the caravan hit Medina, everybody came looking for that horse. Look at this horse. And everybody, wanted to pay big money for it. As soon as he got more money offer, he all of a sudden backed out from the deal. The Prophet said, why are you backing off the deal, man? We just had a deal. And he said, do you have any witness for this? So there's the Sahabi, Suhaib, he was just walking by, he's a local in Medina. The Prophet says, Suhaib, come here, and I want you to bear witness to the deal we had. And this guy, he said, how can you be bearing witness to something which you didn't see?
Yeah.
So Suhaib said, you're talking about a horse here, buddy? I actually bear witness to heaven. I haven't seen heaven.
Wow.
So I do bear witness that this deal happened, and I
Subhanallah.
You have to,
Subhanallah.
honor this deal. So this is the iman. This is the actual flavor of the iman. This is why I said this. These are the construction of psychology that the Sahabas had.
Subhanallah.
This is something which is so imperative for a Muslim to know. And this is why I said, if you do not know Bani Israel, Surah Bani Israel's psychology, then you'll be falling flat on your face in Surah Kahf, thinking, there's nothing about Dajjal in here. How is this surah going to save me from Dajjal? Dajjal is an animal. We have to kill that animal through a weapon. We need to believe in that weapon, that this weapon is going to kill Dajjal.
The weapon is Surah Kahf.
Yeah, and that weapon is Surah Kahf. But if my belief in Surah Kahf is made in Surah Bani Israel, this is how these three surahs come in together and make up a bullet which is going to shoot Dajjal down. So this is something which is so important to understand, that Bani Israel comes up with the time travel concept and the trajectory and the journeys and the ways and the ascensions and the whole 9 yards of whatever happened. And then we enter Surah Kahf, and then you'll look like, if you have the total iman on how these ways come about and how these journeys happen. And then when we enter Surah Kahf, all of a sudden things fall way easier in the right places than if you just start Surah Kahf cold.
Okay, Subhanallah. So it's about the first 10 verses of the Surah Kahf.
Okay. Surah Kahf actually starts, let's just start with the name now. Okay. Technically speaking, this surah should have been called Zulkarnain. That's
You're making a big claim.
No, I'm just giving you a pattern of the Quran.
Okay.
Any subject that is discussed the most is determined as the as the title. Surah Luqman is by Surah Luqman's accounts and everything, and so on and so forth. Zulkarnain is discussed in such great detail that it wouldn't have been such a big surprise if we call it Surah Zulkarnain.
Okay.
But there's a reason why Surah Kahf is Surah Kahf. You have to understand that, and Surah Bani Israel is building up that concept.
Okay.
Because
as you mentioned the hadith where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that these are a couple of 3 surahs.
a triad.
A triad of 3 surahs, Bani Israel, which is Surah Al-Isra wal-Miraj, Al-Kahf, and then Surah Maryam is also included in this. So we, as you explained, we understand that about the time travel, the significance of time travel through Isra wal-Miraj. So what significance does Surah Maryam have for us to understand Al-Kahf?
There's a very clear, actually, the place where Allah Ta'ala is talking about how Idris alayhi salam is lifted up in the heavens, which is such a significant entry into the whole realm of all of these concepts. And the hadith of Miraj as well. Okay. Prophet ﷺ met Idris in the 4th heaven.
Yeah.
That's the only account of Idris where we get to find out that this is something which is...
Okay, so Hazrat Idris went alive?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so we don't just have Isa alayhi salam being taken alive into the skies.
No, not at all. Well, the Christians believe that there are 3. Muslims believe that there are 3. Christians believe that there are 4 actually. Muslims believe that there are 3 prophets who actually, traveled the skies, the heavens. Adam alayhi salam, who came to
down.
earth.
Yeah. Okay.
Then Idris alayhi salam that went up.
Okay.
And then Prophet who went up, and then in his very life came down, and Isa is going to come back in the second coming. He also, the Prophet who actually met Prophet during his trip to the heavens.
Okay.
So I personally believe that Nuh alayhi salam is also
one of the time travelers.
Yeah, literally. And this is a concept which we can actually talk in detail, but since the Surah Maryam does not really go in emphasis of this, so let's not go in there. But it is literally a very, very key element of Surah Maryam, because other than the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given two bifurcations of different types of prophets in Surah Maryam, the Siddiq Nabi and the Rusul Nabi. So this is another key which opens a lot of doors to our reconstruction of psychology of how to look at these three. And Idris al-Islam is such a big figure in the Bible that books of Enoch, the book of Enoch and the book of Giant, it's all about Idris al-Islam.
Okay, so Enoch is Idris.
Enoch is
in
Idris
Bible.
al-Islam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you please explain a little bit like how he traveled and
Well, we have a lot of hadiths about Idris al-Islam.
Okay.
Idris al-Islam is the first person that Allah Ta'ala taught through the pen.
Okay.
So, which means that he's the first person who actually documented knowledge.
Okay.
The whole, era of knowledge of all the human beings started with Idris al-Islam.
Okay.
Because Adam al-Islam and his sons were getting knowledge to Adam al-Islam, which was given through the time of creation of Adam, when the angels asked what is he going to do, and then narrates the whole story of how he taught Asma al-Husna.
And that probably went on through word of mouth.
Yeah, because he was just the sixth generation of Adam al-Islam.
Okay.
Seventh generation is Idris al-Islam. The seventh patriarch is Idris al-Islam.
Okay.
And by that time the population is growing, and Idris al-Islam actually sets the precedence of how to actually convey knowledge now.
Okay.
And store knowledge.
Okay.
And he's the one who creates the first library, because he's writing so much, and then he gets to find out, because an angel is actually narrating all of that knowledge and teaching him, and he's writing everything down. This is how Idris al-Islam's life is.
Wow, he's the least heard prophets, but he had such a significant role.
Yeah, I just missed out on the Christians' fourth prophet, Ilyas al-Islam, is also in their books up in the heavens.
Okay, taken alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both, are up there. Well, Christians don't believe that Isa al-Islam is alive, so otherwise they do, believe in the second coming, so which of course is going to be.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe that Isa al-Islam is going to be born again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is going to be a second coming. Because, they attribute him to a person which is godly, so you can do that.
Yeah.
But the real question is Idris al-Islam's presence. Farafana makanan alayya is the ayah, which in Surah Maryam actually says that, we raised him up on a destination or a place which is above. Farafana, it raised him up.
Yeah.
A higher place.
Yeah.
I
think there's a similar word used for Isa alayhi salam also.
Yeah.
Rafa'a or something.
Rafa'a, yeah.
Okay.
So this is something which is so clear in how we understand the concept of this whole trajectory. And if we go into detail of Idris al-Islam, then we find out that there's so much about Idris al-Islam which Muslims don't even know about.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is something which is, in my opinion, which opens a lot of doors towards how the Dajjal is going to be working. And even if he is not going to use those sort of things, but he does have such a clear way of, making people believe that he's more than just a man. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time of Idris al-Islam, people don't really, I don't know why Muslim psychology is not really constructed over the fact that Adam al-Islam was 1,000-year-old. And Nuh al-Islam preached for 950 years.
Yeah.
This is a very, very clear problem we need to solve. I don't know why we just overlook it somehow. We just don't even think about it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And the real question to ask is, if Nuh al-Islam was 950 years old on just preaching time, then how come he never had more than one generation in his lifetime? But he got married at 9:30? No, he didn't, right?
Yeah.
So he got married at 30, even less those times.
Yeah.
So he should have had about 50, 60 generations of his own lineage.
Yeah.
But he only has his first lineage, which he tried to save. So this is a very clear indication of how the psychology of a Muslim should be. Because the Christian psychology is that he did collect every male and every female. That's not humanly possible. Not in this lifespan anyway, in this
Yeah.
lifespan of 60,
Yeah.
70 years. So I'm not saying that he spent 950 years collecting animals.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's not as simple as we just think, that those people used to live that old. If they were, then you better produce a lot of lineage of this man in his own lifetime. And not just his, the people that he's trying to save.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people that are missing from the big picture.
Yeah.
So that means that these people were constant travelers. Idris Islam is known as a traveler, and Idris Islam is explained in so many ways, not just in a hadith, but in the Bible, in the Ethiopian Bible, and we have so much text from old civilizations now that clearly talk about Enoch and his journeys to Saturn and so on and so forth.
Really?
Yeah. Which is
That's very surprising to me. Actually.
yeah, and not just the fact that he travels, but the fact that they used to mention Saturn, which has a very peculiar Star of David on its north pole.
Star of David.
Yeah, well, it's a hexagon, but hexagon is placed inside
Yeah.
a Star of David is a hexagon.
Yeah.
So, well, it's placed in the hexagon.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, when we think Dajjal, somehow Star of David comes into play anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that. That's a far-fetched idea even for me, But there's a lot to do with these things when you come down to.
So you mean
really
like in
explaining
other
things.
texts, the mention of Saturn comes
into
regarding
old civilization.
Idris.
Yeah, literally. We have
Wow.
the Mayan texts, we have the Sumerian text, we have the Akkadian text, we have the we don't have Enoch in the Indian text, but they do date as far as 5 and some thousand years. Sumerians go back as to 11,000 years, and they're talking about Enoch means that Adam was way before what we think he was.
Okay.
Adam was way more than we think is 5,000-year-old history of man, which is not. If somebody was bearing some tablets who were in this planet 11,000 years ago, then there's a lot more than we know.
Yeah, and that's very strange that there's a Sumerian tablets mentioning the same thing, a similar thing that we have in Islam.
Yeah, it's not just Sumerian. A lot of Mesopotamian text that we have found now talk about the great flood, which is of the flood of Noah, and his great grandfather, which is Enoch. And there's so much, but I'm not.
This actually opens a door to a lot of discussion.
Yeah, a lot more. But we need to understand, why? Because Miraj is the hadith in Bani Israel.
Yeah.
He meets Idris. You know what I'm saying?
Subhanallah. Yeah.
And he meets who? Isa alayhi salam. And that just comes right after Surah E KAHF, where the whole story of Maryam and Isa alayhi salam comes in, and then all of a sudden Idris is met. And this is not a coincidence. As I said, I don't believe in coincidences. Muslim psychology should not.
And there's a hadith which puts all these surahs together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big combination of so many pieces of the puzzle. We have to just put them together.
Yeah.
And we can actually easily understand that the way to understand the Dajjal would be far easier, because one, that he's going to claim to be a prophet. Okay, so what can you do as a prophet? Oh, I'm such a super prophet, I can travel through here and there.
Yeah.
So Zulkarnain could do that, man. He was not a prophet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a way Surah E KAHF is actually helping you get that psychology in place. We'll go in detail in Surah E KAHF. And then if he says, I can produce this and that, and all of a sudden his followers are going to be getting a lot of prosperity, Surah E KAHF talks about that. In the last 10 ayahs, Surah E KAHF is very clear about the people who are disbelievers, who are all about this world, are getting to believe that they're on the right path because they're getting so much stuff from this world.
Yeah.
This is an indication of what Surah E KAHF is actually pointing towards.
Yeah.
So there's so much in these three surahs that we better understand. And then the concept of Siddiq Nabi and Nabi Rusul, which is two different categories of the prophets that come in. And ironically, the Siddiq Nabis are the those prophets which Allah Ta'ala has shown His big signs to.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So big signs in this case of Mi'raj, Allah Ta'ala says, I've traveled,
Yeah.
make him through a journey to make him see those big signs. Not all the
Yeah.
signs, major signs
Yeah.
of the creations, which are the big hell and heaven, and the Sidratul Muntaha and the seven heavens and different places in Mi'raj. And when I say Surah Bani Israel, I take into account directly the hadith of Mi'raj as well, because that is not in the surah of Bani Israel. That's a different hadith we have to see. When Allah Ta'ala is talking about the Mi'raj, hadith explains what happens in the Mi'raj.
Yeah.
So they both come into the same play. Then those prophets which were mentioned in Surah Maryam, ironically, Siddiq turns out to be the very word of the believer of these signs. And Surah Kahf's last ayah is about them not believing in my signs and my rusul. This is I think the fourth last ayah of Surah Kahf, of how these disbelievers did not believe in my signs. When Allah Ta'ala says signs and rusul, so that means all of those magnificent events which are not explained through science, and those are only explained through science, because Mi'raj is a sign of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, of how He took His Prophet to the whole journey in just a matter of a few instances. So these are the completion of the big story of these three surahs. This triad is speaking to us so loud. It is showing us so many things. And when we hear the hadith of the first 10 ayah or the hadith of the last 10 ayah, we better understand that we cannot understand the first 10 ayahs or last 10 ayahs unless we know what Surah Kahf is all about.
Yeah, actually this was a question in my mind, that we've been only like in the Sahih Hadith, we find out that it's the first 10 ayahs or the last 10 ayahs that a believer has to use as a shield against the
most authentic
Dajjal.
hadith is the first 10 ayahs.
First 10
And the
ayahs.
first 10 ayahs, the 9th and 10th ayah is about this Ashab E Kahf.
Yeah, whereas everything about, like you talked about Zulkarnain and the time travel is mentioned after the 10 ayahs.
No, time travel is in the first 10 ayahs.
Okay.
Ashab E Kahf is the 9th and 10th ayah. Time travel is of
Starts.
Ashab E Kahf.
That's where it starts from. Okay.
Yeah. So
So basically we have to go through all of this to then have the essence of those 10 ayahs.
not just the essence, but the use.
Yeah.
The use of these 10 ayahs.
Yeah.
We'll explain in Surah Kahf when we're going to open that of why going to the mountains was prescribed when you're told to flee in the end of times, and how mountains have turned out to be an amazing. It's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences. So all the portals which were used by angels to come to the prophets were in mountains. All the time, in portals which prophets will open in the time of Yajuj Majuj are going to be in the mountains. There's so much about this the Dajjal period that we better understand from when a hadith is trying to save us. Those hadiths save us in a lot of ways, physically of course, that flee and then go to the mountains, be self-sufficient at that time, then how the Dajjal is going to be working around, and he's going to be going to every single place. He's not going to leave any stone unturned. So how are these people going to be saved in the mountains?
Wow, that's a very important question.
This is something which is we better,
if we'll have access to everything.
Wow. Maybe Surah Kahf will open those portals only in the mountains, because a Kahf is also in a mountain. This cave was also in a mountain. And they did flee from the Dajjal at the time, that oppressor. And that cave was
amazing similarity.
And it's not a coincidental similarity. There are no coincidences. A Muslim belief is free of coincidences. We believe in a God who has seen everything and sees everything from the beginning till the end of whatever, even way past heaven, and anything which was way before the universe.
Yeah.
So when we believe in that kind of Lord, which we do, then there cannot be any coincidence. If a person has seen a movie, and just a human being, and if he gives me advice about what's going to happen in the movie, it's not a coincidental advice. Or if he tries to do something which is going to affect my life of that movie, within that movie, that's not a coincidental event. Because I'm just talking about just the awareness attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just the other attributes. Just the very fact that he's aware makes all of this universe free of any coincidences. Just the very fact that he's Alim.
So everything that's mentioned in the Quran and Hadith is
everything. The way I'm sitting right now in front of you, the time that we're doing this, there are no coincidences. I'm talking about the tiny little spot inside the depth of the ocean moving. That's not a coincidental thing. This is how perfect this whole machine is, and we have to understand how to look at it. And if we start believing in anomalies and coincidences, then I'm so sorry. This is not going to be a religious debate or discussion, because then...
Well, actually, thank you so much for explaining it this way, because all this time, like when we go through the Quran, there's so many stories, so many things that we have to kind of, unfortunately, force our brains to try to take something out of them, And most of the times we just feel that they are just the moral lessons or things like these, But now here
casually placed.
Exactly.
Or haphazardly. Or done by man. This is how important our Prophet ﷺ is, because he actually arranged all of those ayahs himself. In his own life, he made sure that every ayah sequencing and every placement of every alphabet is carefully done in his own supervision. So, and even if he didn't, whoever did that, it was God's will, because this is something. So what I'm saying is, if we believe that there are no coincidences, which we do, not even at the smallest level, then there can never be any coincidence at the Quran level. And so Surah Bani Israel being in that place
before
right
Kahf,
there,
Maryam being after the Kahf,
this is not a coincidence at any level. And then all of a sudden, Surah Kahf, which has apparently absolutely no visible arsenal against the Dajjal, becomes our only arsenal against the Dajjal. Then we better understand this hadith of making this Surah Kahf as a triad and using Bani Israel and Surah Maryam as a combo for Surah Al-Kahf. And then when we're going to go into Surah Kahf, I will bring and invoke the chapter of Idris and the Siddiq Nabi. So understand, Abu Bakr Siddiq became Siddiq because he actually believed in this signs of travel and trajectories. So this is not a coincidence that Siddiq Nabi is mentioned in the Surah Maryam, the same word.
Is this word you're using, Siddiq Nabi, is it mentioned in the Quran?
There are two types of Anbiyas. Allah Ta'ala is classifying these two
Subhanallah,
types. Nabi Siddiq, Nabi Rusul. So there are different scholars who talk about different things, but if you look at all of these surahs in combination, you'll find out that first time anybody got to be using this word Siddiq was in the Bani Israel surah. And then all of a sudden it just comes up, popping up in the Surah Maryam.
And probably this has been one of the most significant meanings of the Siddiq Nabi.
As far as we are concerned, Siddiq is the ultimate bearer of the truth. And how can you be an ultimate bearer of the truth if you haven't seen behind the camera? All of those names that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did mention were looking at things behind the camera. When Musa went with Khizr and saw whatever was going on. Musa did a lot more than that actually. Ibrahim did that, Idris did that, Isa did that, Nabi al-Islam himself did that, so on. And you'll find out that when Allah Ta'ala mentions Surah Nabi Rusul, you'll find out that those were amazingly, and not coincidentally, but amazingly, those prophets which do not have any recollection of these sort of events. So those are totally different types of prophets. I'm not ranking them, of course. There's no point, there's no psychological way of us ranking them in a different way. But we can see the use of this word in a very clear way, that this is something which we have to be. In other words, if I have to give one liner of why Surah Maryam is so important, Siddiq are those people who will be saved from Dajjal, because they will be believing in a totally different way of looking at all this stuff, and it will be meaningless of what Dajjal is doing.
Subhanallah.
And the prophecies of those people who are the people of heaven in the times of Dajjal are the people who are literally doing what Abu Bakr Siddiq was doing to the Arabs, said, I believe that this is the real truth.
Subhanallah.
Those people, for example, that man who will be chopped by the
Exactly,
chainsaw.
I was about to mention that,
He is the Siddiq.
Yeah.
He's claiming over and over that I am Iman, I testify that you are a liar and my prophet was was true about.
Even after he receives life, he knows that this is the only this is the attribute that's only like Allah holds this attribute. He should become a believer in the Dajjal, but instead he rejects and denies that very attribute and says, now I have stronger faith that you are Dajjal.
Because he says something which Abu Bakr Siddiq said. He said, because my Prophet ﷺ already told us that this is going to happen, and I did not know it was going to be me.
Subhanallah.
So he literally verbatim uses the same psychology, the sequence and the stress of words which Abu Bakr Siddiq said. That I believe in my Prophet has said. So this is something which is not a coincidence at any level. So Siddiqs are going to be saved in the times of Dajjal, just like Siddiqs were created in the time when these surahs were, being revealed.
Thank you so much, Sahil. May Allah make us among the Siddiq or the believers that will be saved from the fitna of Dajjal. Inshallah, I'll be seeing you again in our next coming episodes where we're going to start Surah E Kahf. I'll just like to summarize a bit about our last discussion. It was based on the hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he said that the three surahs were revealed together as a triad, like Surah Bani Israel, whose other name is Surah Isra wal Miraj, and then is Surah Kahf, and the third one is Surah Maryam. Our guest, my friend Sahil, last time explained that to truly understand Surah Kahf, we have to understand a few things from Bani Israel and a few things from Surah Maryam. In Surah Bani Israel, you mentioned, the surah mentions the night journey of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So our friend, he mentioned that was done, that journey, the night journey to the seventh sky was done using portals, two kinds of portals, one in the horizontal direction from Makkah to Jerusalem, and then the other one was a vertical trajectory from Jerusalem to the skies. And then in Surah Maryam we discussed the intergalactic traveling of Hazrat Idris alayhi salam, and that him being the first person to be given the power to write and use the pen for the first time to record the knowledge on paper or whatever material he was using. And he was also a traveler, intergalactic traveler. So these two things were discussed last time. I would request my friend Sahil to please move this discussion forward. With my first question here is going to be that you mentioned portals. First thing I would want to ask you is to describe portal a bit. I know like most of us know what the portals are, but I would like him to give a brief explanation of what a portal is for those who don't know. And also cover in this that there's a story of a man in Surah Baqarah, ayah 259, who asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that how would you recreate or give life to us again once we die. And then the guy, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes him die for 100 years, and when he wakes up he sees a donkey whose even carcass has almost turned to dust, and him and his food is still fresh. So kindly, in the light of all these things, can you explain portal, time travel, death, these concepts a bit?
Well, first, these three surahs were not revealed together. Of course, they were revealed differently. The Prophet ﷺ actually clubbed them together since he's the one who compiled Bismillah, of course. And then he has this hadith with Umm al-Mu'mineen where he actually describes these as a set of great three surahs. Now, portal, I think it's a very complicated concept, since Quran Pak specifies these sort of traveling platforms differently. For example, when the angels are traveling, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually literally given us a time differential of how fast they actually travel through them. And it's a relative time scale that Allah has given for this planet versus the kind of time angels actually take. Now, since human psychology, as a Muslim psychology, of course we believe in the Quran, we specifically are not psychologically trained to put angels in any sort of a portal.
Yeah.
When we think angels come down, we think they come down like a space shuttle come down. There's no, because when you look at the trajectory of the airplanes, there are actually roads that they actually travel to. There are fly zones and there are no fly zones, and then there are optimum distances.
Yeah.
And every pilot knows that, and we have those lines drawn on the globe. But for a space shuttle, there is no optimum distance except the vertical line, right?
Yeah.
But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not really specify like that. Our psychology is like that. So, for example, when we say the Prophet ﷺ was, being ridiculed at Taif, but Jibreel alayhi salam comes down, we don't really think that a portal opens and then a portal opens here and there, and then Jibreel comes down. Even though that's the fastest way of traveling. So it was a portal that actually Jibreel used, because the Quran actually specifies that this is how fast. And specifically when Amr of Allah is actually to come down, the angels actually take that.
It's the command of Allah.
It is the hukam, hukam. And then, of course, this is the hukam. Jibreel does not really move on his own accord.
Yeah.
So, psychologically speaking, it's a very tough concept to swallow, that there are portals.
Yeah.
First and foremost, why is there a portal?
Yeah.
Because
for us, we just think that the angels can fly, so they are using the same dimension to go up and down.
However, the Quran actually specifies, and this is not just the Quran, even the Hadith specify that, let me just give you an example. When the Mi'raj happened, they went from Kaaba to Baitul Laham.
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you just go take off from Kaaba?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was a reason why they actually took off. So the argument is always made that, it was the first of the commandments that was revealed at that time. So Jews were told through this journey that now your reign is over and now Islam is taken over. This is exactly the philosophy of Muslim scholars.
Yeah.
But then the real question is, why didn't they take off from Baitul Muqaddas, Masjid Aqsa? They didn't take off from there. They took off from the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a question I have to ask, because that has no significance in terms of the reign of Judaism too. That now we're overthrowing your reign, and now the ground is back to where it belongs.
Yeah.
So because Masjid Aqsa was supposed to be that place.
So do you know where does this concept come from actually? Do we have anything in the Hadith or in the tafseer regarding this, the reign of Judaism, Jews is over?
This is a commentary of so many scholars that the real.
So it's a personal opinion.
It's not Hadith nor
there's no Hadith.
Because I can't just disregard it because so many scholars believe in this. But the real commentary on this specific journey from Baitullah to Baitul Muqaddas is the fact that that's a declaration that no more of your misconception that you are still carrying the Isra of the planet now. Now we've taken the Isra. Hence Hazrat Musa came in behind the congregation.
Although I remember there's another thing where the Sahaba during the Salah had to face from Jerusalem to Kaaba.
That was a Muslim internal, that's an internal matter for Muslims.
Okay.
Since Jews didn't really care.
Yeah.
Or why did you shift from Baitul Muqaddas to Kaaba all of a sudden during a prayer? That was a test of the iman of the Sahaba at that time, who were really, because that was an Arabian thing.
Yeah.
And that makes sense that, and if of course there's a hadith on that, because some people in that prayer, when Prophet ﷺ shifted his face, they had a bit of a confusion or a problem.
Yeah.
But that's a totally different story, so it has nothing to do with this. So, but this specific concept should have, according to the commentary, should have taken place at Baitul Masjid Aqsa.
Yeah.
It didn't. It's just 500 yards out of Masjid Aqsa, that Dome of the Rock. And that Dome of the Rock has a lot of significance in terms of time travel and portals in Judaism.
Okay.
Dome of the Rock is not just an ordinary place. It carries a lot of significance. However, since I'm not going to go into Israeliyat and all Judaic concepts, I'm just going to stick to the Muslim concept of portal. Now, since we know marriage is the trajectory, the portals of the angels, that is specified in the Quran. So the portal does exist, literally like that.
So is it like a hole in a space-time?
Well, that's up to our own imagination. However, if we have to really go into what is the actual nature of the angel and how because literally speaking, as far as my psychology is concerned, there's no need for an angel for any specific pathway. But since Allah specifies it, now it's a part of my iman to not carry my current psychology and break it. That it's not just a haphazard movement. There are pathways and there are rules of this whole movement and transference and transcendence or ascents. There are rules. That means physics. Literally, physics is applied. Those rules and laws are applied. If it were not physics, no time differential would have been given, according to whatever 50,000 years on Earth is a day of. That's pure physics. Now that does literally put physics inside Quran, and we should put physics inside our psychology. And that's an article of our faith. It's not it's a very sensitive concept. Okay, we can't just say, whenever Jibreel wants, he just comes down. No, there are pathways he comes down. Well, of course, he can come down on his own accord, but he can't just come out from anywhere. It's not a genie concept. In our psychology, it's like poof, you get out from here. So there are ways. And to further strengthen this specific psychology, in Surah Kahf is the first surah where Zulkarnain was given the ways. The ways. Now that literally does not mean anything else other than the portal, because Fa'atba Usababa is the next ayah, which literally says that now we gave him the ways. Now and then he follows the way. You know what I'm saying? He follows one of the ways towards the setting of the sun, and then he goes towards the origination of the sun, and so on. So the portal itself. What does it look like? How many kinds are there? Well, we know of one for sure. That's marriage. We know of a very high possibility of the other. That's sababa. You know what I'm saying? And in the Quran, so many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this root word of sab, in so many, 10 specific occasions. All of those occasions, Quran is speaking about ways towards the heavens.
Okay.
Now, we have to make sure that we understand that if marriage is a concept, then what is the problem of us actually understanding that there is a possibility? There are other ways. And then in Surah Mulk, when Allah Ta'ala says we have placed these heavens in parallel to each other. You know what I'm saying? And these universes. And then in Surah Mulk, Allah Ta'ala himself says, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, that we've adorned this sky of this planet. With those lamps, which are the stars. That means there are other skies. And in the hadith of the Miraj, Prophet ﷺ meets Adam alayhi salam on this sky, and then he goes to the next one. He meets Yusuf alayhi salam and then Harun alayhi salam, and then Isa alayhi salam, and then Idris alayhi salam, and then Musa, and then Ibrahim alayhi salam. So these are certain different heavens. So there is a physical proof of the presence of all of these separate, uniquely, identifiably different places and entities. And then you can actually place the marriage between all of these. And then I can go on for days on this one, but you get the actual specificity of our belief of portals and these pathways.
So I guess now here our concept and the concept of science is a lot similar here. Like it's a pathway.
I doubt it. I'll tell you why. On a basic level, there is a pathway. But if you read the old civilization texts and we go through ancient history, we see that they didn't believe in portals. They believed in gateways. They did not really believe that, according to, if I take that psychology of ancient civilization, interstellar movement, and put it in the Muslim psychology, it would seem like this. That Zulkarnain did not have to go through a journey. He just traveled through a dimension.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He opened the door and he was right there with the people who were talking about, that we do not have any protection from the sun.
Okay.
And then he opened the portal and he went through the gateway. It was like less than a second, what's the word? Transference of the whole thing. Now, there could be it. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter whether it's a horn-shaped portal or it's that
Spiral,
swirling
seashell.
Yeah, it could be anything. But the fact that it does exist in Islamic psychology, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala Himself is telling us to keep that in your psychology, then I, in my personal opinion, it is not Islamic to think that, oh my God, this is just science, and this is something innovatively put inside our psychology. I'm sorry, this is not how it works.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so now I think we can move on to Surah Kahf. My first...
Before we move into that, we didn't really discuss the multi-dimensional map of the universe.
Okay.
For that, we need to understand that there is a vertical line that you can draw. If I draw a line from on a y-axis, that's a one-dimensional line, and then I put an x-axis line, that's a two-dimensional line.
Yeah.
Now, our brains are trained to think on 1, 2, 3, 4 dimensions. But since we know the concept of jinn, we have and that's a Muslim belief, we know that. Surah Jinn itself exists in the Quran. So, even if there were some hadith, doesn't really matter, because Quran himself, we are Muslims have to believe that there are jinns.
Yeah.
But where are they? In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says that they can see you from a place you cannot see them from.
Yeah.
So that means there is a physical concept of dimension in the Quran as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not an XY dimension.
Yeah.
And that's not an XYZ dimension as well.
Yeah.
That is a parallel dimension. Because if it was a Z dimension, then we would have felt them.
Yeah.
We can't even feel them. And we cannot see them. We can see the Z dimension. We are all 3D people.
Yeah.
Now we cannot see that. That means that there's a totally different way of looking at dimensions.
Yeah.
Because if someone can see me, there is absolutely no possibility in physics that I cannot see them, unless, of course, it's at a quantum level or it's at such a grand level that I am overwhelmed by the very sight of it. That's physics. But that's not what Allah Ta'ala is saying. Allah Ta'ala is saying there are millions of jinns, and there are Muslims, and there are Christians, and there's a colony, and there's a population, and then they are living among you, and there you cannot see them, and they can see you.
Yeah.
From places that they're looking at you. That means, that's the actual word. They look at you from places you cannot see.
Yeah. And then we actually have a company of jinns coming to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam
Exactly,
after they heard the Quran.
And that means the Prophet ﷺ could see them. He met them. The Sahaba were told to stay back.
Yeah.
Abu Bakr Siddiq himself said, I was there when this happened, and we couldn't see who he was talking to, but he was talking to the jinnat, because then Prophet ﷺ came back and he told them that this was a delegation that actually had an appointment set up.
Yeah.
And then Surah Jinn itself, when it starts, Kul uhiya ilayya annahu istama. Annahu istama means we heard. They said that we heard the Quran. Prophet ﷺ was reciting the Quran, and they said, Kul uhiya ilayya annahu istama faqalu jinna. They said that, we've heard something so weird.
Yeah.
They could hear us as well. It's not just that they can see us.
Yes, hearing as well.
Ajaba, there's something weird. Of course, that weird is the astonishing miracle of the linguistic of the Quran. I can sense that.
Yeah.
But they cannot just see, they can hear us. That means they're not that grand or not that microscopic. This is something which is I'm sorry. When this corona thing was going on, people were like, there could be the jinn and the shayateen and all that. It could be, but it doesn't really seem as if, there's just one way of looking at them.
Yeah.
And then when the Prophet ﷺ was talking to them, it would have been a little more easier for Abu Bakr Siddiq to explain that he was looking at his hand or in the air at some microscopic things.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't really seem as if that is the
It seemed
psychology
as
we should
if
keep.
he was talking to a proper figure in front of him.
Yeah, if not his own size,
Yeah.
or in a relative dimension or
Yeah.
proportion where it is not that weird.
Yeah. So probably maybe they came in our dimension, or Rasulullah SAW was given this power to look into their dimension for that time period.
Yeah, since Prophet ﷺ has very clear hadith about what kind of jinns there are, 3 kinds of jinns, people, jinns who actually change shapes,
Yeah.
jinns, and so on and so forth. There are so many accounts of him describing what jinn actually is all about. As
There's
much as-
another thing like this, like for example, we know that in our hadith that once a person is in the grave, he'll be able to see his future after the day of resurrection, whether he's going to Jannah or the Jahannam.
that's a very good point.
And he can see, and that window is going to open, and he can see his home or his dwelling, whether
Yeah.
it's in fire or it's in Jannah.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas
I'll
the
refer to
grave
that when.
is here.
Yeah.
And there's
That's the same window that opens up in SURA E KAHF as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I'm so excited to
Well, not
discuss
same,
that.
but that's the same psychology that that triggers.
And then we have another thing. I heard this from somewhere. I don't know how authentic it is. That Rasulullah SAW at the time of, I don't know, it was a specific time or it was a routine prayer. Once he was in the ruku,
Yeah.
so he got to see the
It's authentic. Yeah.
it's authentic, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So he
it's
got
yeah.
to see the fruits from Jannah, and then
Oh, okay,
he
no.
went again to pluck them, but then he couldn't, maybe something. And then when he was asked that you did 2 rukus,
The eclipse prayer.
that
that's
was the
eclipse
eclipse.
prayer.
That was the eclipse, yeah.
But we're you're talking about the jinn,
Yeah.
because there was a jinn during the prayer as well. The Prophet said, I would have grabbed him, but then I was a little shy of the promise of Sulaiman, my brother. He said that only I should be able to grab and control the jinn.
Subhanallah.
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? So, he said I would have just grabbed him and put him in a bag or something. But I didn't. I let him, play around.
Yeah.
So, this is a portal that opened in front of the Prophet, because he said that, did you not notice me moving a little farther and then moving a little back? Because he saw Amr bin Nuhail Khuzai in the same hadith. First he saw the Jannah and he said the fruit was so near to me that I was about to pluck him. And then I saw hell, and I saw Umar bin Nuhail Khuzai picking his intestines and putting him back in his belly from the ground,
Okay.
And then he moves a step behind. So he moves one step forward and one step backward during the prayer. And this is what the hadith is, so that means, he could. But that's the hadith which literally connects with the Miraj hadith, because Miraj is another
Exactly.
portal, and
Yeah.
there's this open, and then Salatu Mirajul Mu'min, which means that every moment can actually go through that trajectory. We take it metaphorically, that it's just a figure of speech, that that's your maximum ascent when you're in
So
prayer.
what stops us to limit this meaning of this hadith, as-salatu miraj?
The psychology. The very psychology of us not accepting portals as an Islamic concept, and we actually divorce it and call it a scientific concept. We cannot divorce this word portal as Muslims. I think science just came up with it. We already had that concept. And it's not just meaning, but application and its description and its use, that application in the Quran and the Hadith.
Yeah.
That's why as-salatul miraj moment does not really hold any physical value to
While in physical or scientific terminology, it can hold a meaning like
I believe in this.
Prayer is a portal to a movement.
I believe that during the time of Dajjal, prayer is the way Mu'mineen are going to well, not escape, but know where to go and what is coming from. Because this is not just a small
It's actually
matter.
very interesting. Like, it has been right in front of our eyes for all this time, but we never looked into these things this way.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
so
power of
if
psychology.
we're done now, we can move on to Surah Al-Kahf. So first off,
that's your first question. Portal, that's just a big question. So
so the first thing I would like to ask you to just give us a little
I'm so sorry,
background.
before why I was talking about dimensions and all of those things and jinnat, so that we can understand that it's not just it's a lot of ways in a lot of angles. We could be opening a portal to a dimension, and we'll still be here in terms of our movement, and still be going to a totally different universe, because I just be moving an inch out of this dimension and I'm gone. Or I could be traveling millions and millions of miles, literally through a mirage,
Yeah.
and would be just like as a normal airplane does, but with intensely high speed and absolutely no change in my physical attribute.
Yeah.
So these are many concepts. We can't just stick a concept of portal into an ascension and just going to Saturn or the seventh heaven.
Yeah, yeah,
We could be using a portal to just traverse through a certain dimension.
Yeah.
And I'll be invisible here, but I'll be
still here.
Still here.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the story of a man.
Yeah,
whose,
that's attributed to Uzair alayhi salam, but
Okay, so Surah E Kahf, would you like give us some background? Why was it revealed? That's going to be my first question.
Sure. Yeah, I think this is the base through which we should set our psychology. I think Surah Kahf was revealed at such a time with such an amazing, because there are no coincidences. This is not a chance, and that too, the Surah of Quran cannot be revealed just because. Oh, you know what? Since you guys came in and asked a question, let's just reveal a surah. Our Rabb does not work like this.
Yeah. That's actually a lot deeper concept.
Oh yeah, way bigger deal. Yeah. So we'll come to that because that concept is also covered in Surah Kahf. It's so amazing.
Okay.
The concept of inshallah is in.
Exactly.
So this is something which is so big that we better understand how the psychological placement of a Muslim should be. So Surah Kahf was revealed literally to answer the question of
Jews.
The technology of how time travel is done, and what is the concept of ruh, and what is the concept of what do you know about the people of the caves, and what is the whole story that you know of? If you are a true prophet, you should know that. And then, of course, tell us what you know about Dhul-Qarnayn. Now, that's not a regular question. That's not a question, you just throw out in the air. Let's just, try and ask him. That's one of those 3 tough things we don't know. So
one of the things that's famous about this is like, they threw these 3 questions because they believed that no one other than a prophet can answer them. Although the story of the 7 sleepers was present in Christianity and has been present in many other cultures or civilizations as well. So if it was just a story they wanted to hear, so it doesn't prove him to be a prophet. But probably they wanted something else from all
Not
of
at all.
these
Yeah,
3
that's
stories.
correct. That's correct. Anyone could have told them this story.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the one question that they asked.
Yeah.
But let's just stick to this question for one.
Now we have the story of Alexander in other civilizations.
No,
And here
nobody
we have
believes.
Dhul-Qarnayn.
No, nobody believes that.
That's fine if they don't believe it, but even
well, they
in
know it.
mythology, there is a story, right? There does exist a
Osiris.
story of story of 7 sleepers as well.
Yeah, but specifically sticking to the 7 sleepers,
Yeah.
everybody had a fair idea of what 7 sleeper story is.
Yeah.
And at the time Prophet ﷺ was, people did attribute that Muhammad ﷺ is a big reader, and he steals stuff from here and there.
It was
and
an
he has a lot of
allegation,
mentors. But that is not the time. This is not that time. You have to understand what is the time.
Yeah.
Now this is going to. Let me just start from the background of how these questions came about. So let me just tell you what is the pretext of Surah Kahf. The pretext of Surah Kahf is inside the ahadith. You'll have to look at it from, you'll have to reverse engineer as to what the Jews and the use of Surah Kahf in our psychology has in common, and then you'll understand why did the Jews come in. Okay, so a little look into the history, and then people will understand what's actually going on. Jews themselves are waiting for their Messiah for ever since. So much so that they're looking into so many signs of the Messiah. And since Jesus Christ did not live up to those signs, they were like, I'm sorry. Even though he should have, because their Messiah is going to be imitating Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
However, they were told that, your Messiah is going to come at such and such place. Such and such place would look like such and such area in the geography, and so on and so forth. We have this story from Salman Farsi's account as well.
Yeah.
People knew, those Christians knew where the Prophet is going to come in. Dead on accuracy, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were actually following that prophecy of their own, and there was no other way of them coming to Medina. They were in Medina because they were already preparing for whatever is about to happen.
Yeah.
And they were looking for their Messiah.
Yeah.
Now, what is the Messiah going to do for them? You know what I'm saying? That's the real question. Why are they looking for their Messiah? In terms of, their own survival or their own purpose fulfillment, which is, the capturing of the whole planet and making them live under their ruling and so on and so forth. So it's because it's not the power of evil. Jews are still religious people who believe in, their monotheistic religion, who actually think that, they are very connected with God.
Yeah.
So it's not like a satanic cult that they were trying to follow.
Yeah.
They're actually following a prophecy, which is to be fulfilled by their Messiah.
Yeah.
So, in other words, they have a little test of whoever claims to be a prophet. They're going to test. There's a Messiah quiz that they're carrying.
Okay.
So, if that person can tell them accurately of what all of this is, then this man is our Messiah, because he will be able to use all of these three things.
Okay.
And so, if you reverse engineer these questions, you can know literally what the Dajjal is going to be doing. That's how important these three questions are. Because the Dajjal is going to do whatever they actually want, their prophecy is. Their prophecies are not wrong. Even we believe in their prophecy, that the Dajjal is going to come and, resurrect the Jews.
That's a common prophecy.
So
it's like, just like we have Dalailun Nabuwa, so they also have
Dalailun Dajjal, but Dalailun Messiah, we call it, Al-Masih, right?
Yeah.
So, and that is his name, Masih. He's going to be known as Masih.
Yeah.
Prophet ﷺ also calls him Masih. So what we really need to understand is that if Jews are testing our prophet, they must have tested many other prophets on that very template, and whoever does not fulfill that template does not know what the technology is, and that's not going to fetch them anything. So the real question is not whether the Prophet ﷺ knew this or not.
Yeah.
You understand me? The real question is that their Messiah is going to know these questions and is going to be able to use these technologies.
Yeah.
Hence, for 1400 years, we already know what the Dajjal is going to do. You have to understand that.
Yeah.
Because they came in and they said, recite to us SURA E KAHF. Of course, they didn't say it.
Yeah, they didn't say the word.
But whatever they said was all SURA E KAHF, because SURA E KAHF came in to answer all these three questions. So, Ruh is the very concept. Ruh is the concept of light and, the source of all of that power. We think gravity is the power, but in the Bible, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, let there be light. That's the first agency of creation and change. That's the balance of the universe.
Yeah.
We think gravity is the balance of the universe. But it doesn't really make sense, because God never mentions the power of gravity. He mentions the power of light. Before anything.
Yeah.
Any matter. The element of light is created.
Wow.
We still, till date, science does not really know what light actually is. There are only theories about photons and how they transmit or carry whatever kind of information. But that's not a small matter when you think that, Dajjal is going to use the concept of light. And that's the first question they ask. What is Ar-Ruh? You know what I'm saying? Now, there's a lot of commentary on what scholars think, what the Jews meant when they asked Ar-Ruh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's a little deeper than this, because the next two questions are also...
And there's some difference of opinion also, whether there was a question about Ruh or it was something else. There are only three questions, whether it was a question about the two gardens or maybe the Ruh. It's... most narrated hadith is about Ruh. So then next question is about SURA E KAHF, the people of the cave. And the people of the cave story is something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that nobody knows how many there are except of Allah. Yeah.
They think there was this, and their contemporaries think that there's so many, but only Allah knows how many. So there's a key there of what kind of number of people have to be at a certain place to actually make that happen. Yeah. But let's not go into that kind of detail right now. But the real question is, SURA E KAHF was revealed an answer to a certain question, and that certain question is a test of their Messiah.
And the three questions were for Ruh, for Kahf,
SURA E KAHF, and Zulkarnain. And then they asked Zulkarnain, what's the link between the SURA E KAHF and Zulkarnain? Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. If you forget this incident, then there is no way of us knowing of why are these two incidents the same surah.
Yeah.
You have to understand that. It is through the Jews, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us of why He put these two in the same chapter of Al-Kahf. So that means there's a very big link of what these two different concepts carry, and how are they similar, and what kind of reminiscence is there between Ashab Kahf, or whatever happened to them, and Zulkarnain, and whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
There is a very big and strong link. It's not a haphazard thrown question. You have to understand that.
Yeah.
It's the test of Messiah.
And then there's a story of Musa and Khidr.
Yeah, but they didn't ask that, so I'm not going there. So that's another gift for the Muslims, because Allah Ta'ala put a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Because
they
there's
only
so
have
many
three.
things to be
We
understood.
have
in
so
that.
many, yeah. So
That is something related to Qadr, I think.
Not just Qadr.
No.
Not
The first
just
thing
Qadr.
about the story of Khizr is the portal.
Yeah.
The first thing that that's another. It is as big of a concept as it is in Surah Marij, because in this surah, that's the only place Allah Ta'ala describes the shape of a portal.
Yeah.
Surah Kahf, we have the shape of the portal.
Okay.
Now this is something which is going to come up later, so we'll come to that. But right now, these Jews asked a certain question of Zulkarnain, and then the whole story of Zulkarnain is narrated in such detail that carries a lot of meaning in this sort of use and application, but not as much detail as a story would be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have a lot of stories in the Quran. They go in a lot more detail. Zulkarnain's story does not carry details, it carries codes. It carries certain weight in those verses.
Wow.
We cannot narrate of who Zulkarnain was where. What
Yeah.
kind of a story is this? But we know of what he had and what did he do with his power. Where did he go, at what weird point in time, weird place. Till date, I cannot find a satisfactory commentary on the Quran of how come the sun sets in the dark, murky water.
And probably only the person who did have an idea of that technology, only those people would be capable of understanding what Rasulullah is reciting.
That's exactly what I mean. This is why Allah Ta'ala says they actually recognize you as the father recognizes the son.
Yeah.
And now that's not another randomly chosen analogy.
Yeah.
That is a very crisp analogy of how a father recognizes his son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I will go in detail when we're going to do Zulkarnain.
Like this recognition is so much.
First, let us stick to Kahf.
Of
No,
course,
we're not.
we
We're not.
have
We're
to.
just talking about the pretext here.
We have to go through Surah E Kahf, inshallah, verse by verse.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, about a father recognizing son. Like, even in old times, we know that after the war, if someone was really mutilated really badly and people were unable to recognize who he is, either one of their parents would have to be called in to help, So that's the level of accuracy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the Jews understood. So probably through this thing, they really knew that their Dalailun Nabuwa have fulfilled, So that's another discussion why they still did not accept him. Anyway,
Well, that's one way of looking at it, and that's the right way of looking at it. But if we can actually look into it from a totally different perspective. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses the analogy of God, of the father recognizing a son, that would also mean that they would know who the successor is, the real successor, of who's going to be carrying the Isra now.
Yeah.
And they know now Isra is theirs. But since they didn't want to let go of the Isra, they're going to put the Isra in someone else, and that's also going to be one of their sons. Which of course means the DNA, and that's why they're just playing around with this very concept of
can you explain this whole thing again? I didn't get it.
Well,
Talking about because there were two sons, Ishaq and
well, that's the common way of looking at it. Of since Ishaq had the Isra,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and Ismail did not have the Isra, and according to their books, of course.
Isra.
Isra is the crown. No, Isra is Israel's. Isra means the crown, the kingdom.
Okay.
The kingdom is with them. Now, when Allah Ta'ala says they recognize his father recognizes the son, that means they know that now he's the successor. The father is gone. Now he's got the crown.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is something which is
Subhanallah.
which is a perfect analogy for them
Yeah.
to understand that you
Yeah.
know what,
Your reign is gone.
Your reign is over.
Yeah. Wow.
They recognize the son. Again, going that into detail, the real question is Surah Kahf's actual placement, the revelation came according to a certain incident, and that incident is the quiz, the Dajjal template, the Messiah test. And this is something which makes Surah Kahf so important. And knowing what happened, why it was revealed at a certain point in time, what were the question asked, is the most important thing about Surah Kahf.
Okay. So inshallah, I'm going to start Surah Kahf verse by verse. Do you have any preference using any specific translation?
Well,
Should I just follow Sahih International or?
Just for everybody's reference, I personally prefer Abdul Halim's translation. He's not only more equipped of handling the phrase of Arabic and also the phrase of English, but any other translation, and I've gone through 11, of course, because we compare 11 through many websites now as well, the main top 10s. Most of the translations actually confuse in the phrasing of the English phrasing, and so it becomes a little tough for us to understand that. But Abdul Halim is something I prefer, but I don't really have any specification, because we're going to be sticking to Arabic more than anything else.
So I'm going to be only reading the translation.
Okay.
So you have to stop me wherever you have to make a point.
Sure.
Okay? So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the first ayah starts with all praise is due to Allah, who has sent down upon His servant the book and has not made therein any deviance. He has made it straight to warn of severe punishment from Him and to give good tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds, that they will have a good reward, in which they will remain forever, and to warn those who say Allah has taken a son.
Yeah, that's where you should stop now.
Okay.
See, the first 2-3 things are basically psychological settings. We have to understand we are only talking in terms of Ad-Dajjal, the time of Dajjal.
Yes.
So when the first 10 ayahs are to be the most authentic reference, that these are the 10 ayahs which are going to have the actual shield against Dajjal. So we really need to understand of what is going to be happening during the time of Dajjal. In the first episode, we did cover of what's the map going to look like. So these ayahs, if you look at them clearly, you can actually see that belief in the book, the Quran, is the first thing that we have to understand, that there is absolute perfection in this. So there will be the first fitna of how to confuse Quran. They did this and Zed did this. Maybe the Sahabas later on burnt something or less. Could be anything. And this is the first ayah which says that, you know what, this book, this is the promise of Allah. Anyone, even if they try their best, they cannot fiddle with this book, because the promise of it being the completeness and the perfection of that very message is in this book. So this is the first fitan that we already are seeing now. We already have.
And even the Quran begins with almost the same ayah, Surah Baqarah. Like Dhalika Kitabu La Rayba Fi. So there is no doubt about this book.
So this
and
actually
here
shows
it
us.
says no deviance.
This is a clear declaration that one of the many fitan of Ad-Dajjal is against the very concept of Quran's perfection and completion and invariability. That there are no versions of the Quran, and there is no tampering or fabrication in any sorts, in the context or in the dialect or in the meaning or in the sequence or in the stress. Stress is where Allah Ta'ala has put the stress on a certain word, or in the phrasing. There's so many levels of balagha that we'll have to go through that. So this is going to be the start of the biggest fitan, that there are wrong angles and right angles. There are wrong levels and right levels. There are more important levels and there are less important levels. There's no such thing like that in the Quran. Quran is as complete from whatever angle you look at. It's as correct from whatever angle you look at, because there are schools right now opening inside the Islamic Ummah that are actually talking about, of course there are Muslims by any meaning, but they represent Muslims, and then they put, for example, the Qadianis, they put the meaning of the new prophethood from the Quran, and now there's a lot of tahrimi ayahs which are taken from the Quran, and then they take the meaning off, so on and so forth. then there of course will come a time and there will be a lot of things proven from the Quran that there is a son of God. There is a very clear indicator in these ayahs that the concept of ad-Dajjal will be in a lot of ways very verifiable by the Quranic psychology of that time. That's the kind of psychology we'll be moving towards. And that's where the first strike is blown. Well, Allah, of course.
I'll just quote a little story here. Like I was having a debate once with a Christian in England. It was a Muslim Christian debate, and there was a random guy who just walked in. I don't really remember, but he asked me to open the Quran, and in the Arabic text, he went to a certain point and he says, "You see this? This shows that God has a son, and you Muslims have it right in front of your eyes, but you don't believe this."
Oh my God.
I really don't remember what he said, but it was like Mahdi wal Ahdi. There was the word of Mahad, the grave. From that he took out the meaning of Mehdi, and from there he linked it to something in the Surah Maryam, and he said that this is right here in front of you, but you guys can't understand.
Yeah.
So probably this might go to a bigger level.
Or the concept of ar-ruh, which were asked by the Jews, by the way. Yeah. Because when Allah says Ruh Allah for Isa, that's a big confusion. A lot of Muslims have, why is Allah calling Isa as Ruh Allah and not claiming that he is Allah at the same time, which is going to be a door opener for a lot of people who want fitan in Muslims, who are deviants themselves, and who are practically the cause of the biggest evil that is ever going to come upon us, because Ruh Allah is the word that they actually asked as well, Ruh. So this could very well, because that's what I used to think whenever I used to think of Surah Kahf's first 10. I was like, where is this concept coming from? Of the first 10 ayah? What are they? What is the concept that these first 10 ayah are countering? And the first thing that comes into your mind is the completion of the Quran, and right the next third ayah is about the Son of God. And the Son of God concept, even though it is blatantly refuted in so many ayahs, but the concept of Ruh is very, very complicated. And people do talk about that. There are actually so many religions on Ruh, and there's so many philosophies on Ruh, that Muslims will end up, falling prey to so many of that sort of philosophical errors, that there could be a problem in the Muslim ranks, that yes, Isa is not an actual son, but maybe a spiritual son, or the son in spirit, or the son in light, or whatever. I don't know, but because you never know what kind of introspective errors human beings can make. But these three ayahs really open shine that light towards what is about to happen in the time of Dajjal.
Okay, so they have no knowledge about this, nor did their forefathers. It is a monstrous assertion that comes out of their mouths. What they say is nothing but lies.
There you go. Now this is a problem here. See, forefather is a key word here.
Yeah.
Because that literally shows that Dajjal is going to be first befriending the Christians. Because Jews' forefathers never actually said that there's a Son of God. You have to understand, Christians' forefathers are the only forefathers who came up with this concept. So that's the real problem, and that's the foresight of the Quran telling us of what the Dajjal is going to do. Well, Allah, of course, is one way of looking at it. That he is going to come as Isa alayhi salam, and he is going to have all of their forefathers backing him up, and he is naturally going to be called the Son of God, and this is why he's going to be counter to the first 10 ayahs. So why would he come as Isa alayhi salam? We have the hadith which literally shows us that Dajjal is going to mimic and mirror Isa alayhi salam. The Prophet ﷺ had a dream, and then of course during the journey of Miraj as well. The journey of Miraj, with Surah Bani Israel again. The first thing Prophet ﷺ says is, "Where is this guy standing in the Kaaba?" And Jibreel Amin says, "This curly guy is a Dajjal." So the first thing that the Prophet ﷺ sees in the journey of Miraj is at Dajjal. So he's standing in the Kaaba. So of course,
was it the dream where he's like walking behind?
No, that's not. That's a separate dream altogether.
Okay.
That's a totally different dream. That's the dream of Prophet ﷺ looking at Isa alayhi salam doing the tawaf of Kaaba.
And then exactly
And
the
then
same
right
person.
behind Isa alayhi salam is Dajjal doing exactly what Isa is doing, because he's leaning on the shoulders of two men, and two men are literally carrying him towards the tawaf, and Dajjal is also doing that.
Right
So
behind
that
him.
he's doing the
and
tawaf.
two men doing the tawaf.
doing the tawaf.
Okay, so that's one dream, and then there's another site which is
This is
in
the site
real.
in the
Mi'raj.
Miraj, the story of Miraj. So the real question is, what does that got to do with Isa alayhi salam? Well, Isa alayhi salam is in the dream, and he's mirroring Isa alayhi salam. And then there's another hadith that your Lord is not one-eyed. They're the only religion that calls their prophet Lord is the Christians.
Yeah.
So that also is another hint, very clear hint. It's not just a hint, it's literally of a full tale that the Dajjal has way more probability of coming as Christians, as Isa alayhi salam for the Christians, and he will have about 4 billion people following him right there, because they're already waiting for him.
Yeah.
And in the book of Revelations and the book of Matthews, and also book of in the book of Revelation there are so much stories about how the Antichrist will be recognized as Antichrist. Even though he will have the kingdom, but all of a sudden he's just going to come in and declare incest as an allowable sin, and that's the first sign of Antichrist. Which means that if you read the book of Revelations, I'm talking about the King James version right now. Actually, it's in all the three versions, because this verse is unanimously agreed upon, that he's going to allow the original sin, which means which Adam's son, and we could have had a possibility of incest at that time, because there were only two possibilities of, because everyone was the brother and sister of each other, literally from the same father, mother. So that was technically incest. So that's what they actually call that, he's going to use the same logic, and he's going to allow the original sin. Original sin means he's going to allow incest. So a brother can marry a sister, and a father can marry a daughter, and a mother can marry a son. And as soon as he's going to declare that, the Christian community is going to declare him as an Antichrist. And that is the first unveiling of the Antichrist. Even though he will be given that kingdom, he will be inside the third temple, he will be the throne bearer of the world at that time. So that's the time when a faction of Christians will pick a fight and go to, turn to swords and go to the battle against the Antichrist. And that's something which the book of Revelation says could be true on all accounts. I have no complaints or there's no technical error in there. However, the very fact that Quran actually refutes the concept of Christianity in SURA E KAHF, which means that's way bigger of a confusion Christians are going to be going through. And the biggest turmoil for Muslims is not about just Dajjal. It is the army of Dajjal, which is all the Christians of the world. And that is what we cannot convince them out of, because then they will have miracles. Then they will have actual proof that their God is God, that Jesus Christ is God, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. All of those Christians will have a field day on the Muslims and even the Jews, that you actually called us, that look at our Jesus, look at him bringing people from the dead, look at him actually claiming God.
Like in us Muslims, although we do have certain factions among Muslims who still believes in the miracles done by different sort of saints or saintly figures, but Christians, they genuinely, all of them, believe in miracles done by their popes and their fathers and
that's true.
Things like these.
That's true. But they don't claim to be son or God or God.
They don't,
But Christians
but they
do.
can believe that by humans, even a human can do miracles, and it becomes something big for them.
Literally. However, the real point here that people should understand, since we are doing SURA E KAHF here, we better understand that the landscape right now has a 4 billion population, which is half the world, which actually believes that there is a guy who is a son of God, who brings people back from the dead, who makes it rain, who makes dead, barren land bear fruit, who gives light to the born blind, and so on and so forth. All of a sudden, all of a sudden there'll come a guy who's going to literally start doing that.
Yeah.
Lo and behold,
There
everyone
were
else
the things that were done by Jesus at his time, right?
there will be
Anyways.
literally those things, but we don't know what kind of account Jesus actually had. So we will have to see what the Dajjal is going to be doing.
Yeah,
But that's not the problem. The problem is Isa alayhi salam never claimed to be son of God,
Yeah.
right? Or God. But that's Quran is the only book which says that. 4 billion people do not believe in that book. 4 billion people believe that that man claimed to be God and is claiming to be son of God. So Dajjal is going to claim that initially,
Yeah.
so that the 4 billion people will literally have a blind submission upon him. Not just that, but renewal of their faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They will have the biggest possible proof that any religion, any human, any individual would need to actually reaffirm his faith, and that's why I'm saying that's a very big Easter they're going to be celebrating.
And we are already like heavily influenced by everything that comes from the West, and I think by that time when he comes, we're gonna be bombarded through our media.
Oh
and
my
everywhere.
God!
This
Not
is
just
the
that.
man. That's the truth.
Well, that's a good
This
way
is
of
right.
looking at it. The
Yeah.
bad way of looking at it is that we will be massacred brutally.
Yeah.
By the
If we
Christians
don't
at
accept
time.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we will be. We will be.
Yeah, we will be.
And that's why I've said the first 2 ayahs are to be really noticed, because Quran, first and foremost, as soon as the Dajjal is going to convince the Christians, he naturally has to convince the rest of the 3 billion people, right? And that's Muslims. So how is he going to prove that? He is going to put that concept of imperfection in the Quran, and the word ru'Allah will become a totally different meaning.
Wow.
And that's where the Muslim scholars are going to have, a lot of Muslim scholars are going to give bayah to Dajjal, that yes, since they will be looking and overwhelmed by miracles, and they'll be looking at like Isa alayhi salam, acting like Isa alayhi salam, he's the correct, most pious, most giving, most compassionate man, and then he's telling you what the real meaning of the Ruh-Allah actually means, and he's naturally going to come with a middle ground between being the son of God or just God and so on and so forth. And then
when we have already so many scholars that are always justifying concepts of big, huge saints like Ghaus Pak and
So,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of things.
yeah.
So
So
that's
that-
gonna be a real Ghaus Pak, right in front of you. Here we're like justifying all the time a dead Ghaus Pak.
the karama, the karamas of the awliya. Yeah, but that's again, that's too small of a matter, because this guy will be doing a little stuff for the whole globe, and this is something which is something which we all should know of what SURA E KAHF is trying to do. I'm just talking about the first 3 ayahs, and it opens such a big door, because it addresses about 7 billion people already.
Yeah.
And since Jews are the smallest religion right now, it doesn't really matter whether they believe in this or not.
Yeah.
Right now, what matters for us is what Christians believe in, because that's the biggest problem we're going to have from. We cannot even live up to how to actually resist the American policy or the NATO policy or whatever policy. You think we're going to be able to live against the right wingers at that time of the planet? No, I don't think so. This is going to be a big problem, and we will have to submit either for the sake of our livelihood or for the sake of our life, literally, or for the sake of whatever kind of religion at that time we would have, and we will be submitting to Ad-Dajjal. Even if those believers think that he's not Isa alayhi salam, they will have that sort of a leverage that Islam does allow for the sake of saving our lives, to submit to him. And
for the fear of life.
For the fear of life.
Quran mentions it. You can say kalma
Surah
kufr to save your life.
So we will have 2 or maybe 3 factions.
So we might have fatwas coming from all the
Literally,
ulama that just say the kalma kufr, submit to him because you're allowed to do so.
Because he's going to kill you right there. Or you will be killed right there.
SubhanAllah, and we haven't been given any training of the way of Azima.
We
have only
Even though
been
there are way
given-
more accounts of Sahaba putting themselves to death.
Yeah.
There's only one account of Ammar bin Yasir.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's Khubab, they were lynching him alive. And,
SubhanAllah.
this is something which we better understand. And the farther we go from the Prophet ﷺ, the lesser we're going to be able to withstand, those problems which come in the way of us and our iman. And this is why the problem is it's just the first 3 ayahs reveal so much light upon why Muslims will be submitting to ad-Dajjal by hook or by crook.
Okay, so then perhaps you would kill yourself through grief over them, O Muhammad, if they do not believe in the message and out of sorrow.
Yeah.
Indeed, we have made...
this is something which is okay in another sign. Because the Prophet ﷺ, we have to understand the Prophet ﷺ, the compassion of the Prophet ﷺ is that he was worried so much that why are these people not listening to such a bayyana? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that no, don't put that as such a big burden on yourself, and you will your grief is not something which is called for right now, because whoever is going to come into Iman is the decision of Allah, a decree of Allah. And so this is something which is another it's a deeper meaning in that time, that we might have to, God forbid, it makes me cry, because I'm talking about my son here, my daughter, my wives and kids, and there will be times, and most of us will go through that. Maybe we will be those people for which our folks are going to go through, for the fact that our daughters and sons are going to be running towards ad-Dajjal, and this is something which we might have to just give them up. And this is something which is this ayah literally showing us that your grief is something which is real, but it's not going to do anything. Whoever is decreed as a person of Ashabul Jannah is Ashabul Jannah, and Ashabul Nar is Ashabul Nar. This is just only for Allah. So this ayah actually gives us.
You can only do so much.
Yeah, and this ayah tells us that our loved ones are going to be literally running towards the Dajjal right in front of us, and we won't be able to help them, and there will be more people who are going towards him than we can expect.
Okay, the topic now changes here.
Literally.
We have adorned the earth with attractive things so that we may test people to find out which of them do best.
I think we should read that a bit.
And indeed, okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا.
There you go. Now this is the word which does not actually say ad-dunya. It just says al-ard. Make sure you understand that.
Okay.
So at that time, we're going to go into detail in the next episodes. We'll just give you a little preview. The Dajjal is not going to be using resources of this earth.
Okay.
That's where the bigger problem is going to happen, because he's going to be producing some stuff which is unseen, and that is placed in some other parts, and that's also called al-ard, and that is something which is going to create a way bigger fitna for the people. That where is he coming up with these sort of creatures, and these, because his donkey is not from this planet.
Yeah.
But it is from ard.
Yeah.
Right.
So the horse of Rasulullah on Mi'raj, we didn't even discuss that. He was also not from Earth.
Oh, of course not. We did discuss that a little, but we were going to discuss that inside.
Okay, so it means we always have to keep a very, very broader perspective of the word al-ard.
Yeah.
We don't have to limit it to this Earth.
Yeah, we can't.
Okay.
Ard means all the terrestrial planes of all the planets in all the heavens.
Yeah.
For example, Isa is on Ard right now, but not in Dunya.
Yeah.
Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Dunya, he specifically means this planet Earth.
Okay.
Muzayyana as-samaa ad-dunya in Surah Mulk is the sky of our planet.
Okay, yeah.
You have to understand that.
Yes.
مزينة السماء الدنيا
Yeah.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة.
Yeah.
Human beings are told that the life on this planet.
Dunya.
Yeah.
And there's even in Surah Al-Baqarah where Allah says there's 7 earths and 7 skies.
No,
7
that's
heavens.
Al-Talaq.
Yeah, Surah Talaq. Sorry.
Yeah.
So even there we have ard.
Yeah, but that's
A lot of ard.
a lot of ard. That's where we actually pick it up from.
Okay, that's a very, very strong actually evidence.
Yeah,
that the ard
is
ard.
Ard means
lots of ard can be.
And the biggest argument is
number of ard.
even more than that. At an intellectual level, you have to understand that Adam alayhi salam was created from ard.
Yeah.
But we all know that Adam alayhi salam was not created in this planet.
Yeah.
He came to this planet later on.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to understand that.
Yeah.
So it's not like Adam was created here and then taken to heaven and then brought back. This is not what the account of the Quran is.
Yeah.
He was created from the earth of somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Surah E Hijr, we can find out of what kind of clay that actually was.
Yeah.
And that's the same clay that is mentioned in Surah Kahf. That is
By the way, there is a scientific research, I read it a few years before. They said that everything, all the elements or things that exist on this planet Earth, when they are tested like through different ways in the labs, they can show their origin being belonging to Earth. But just like iron does not belong to Earth,
star element.
so similarly humankind does not belong to Earth. That is now even a scientific study.
Yeah, that's true. And that also is in the Quran of how when Adam al-Islam was created. And the word ham, which is used for the clay, which was used to create Adam al-Islam, is a totally different kind of clay. That's a totally different clay, which Surah Rahman talks about, of how human beings are created, or the clay of hell and the clay of heaven. And then we have to understand that there are totally different places where there is that kind of clay. We also have a lot of clay in this planet. That's not something which we should confuse as the only clay in the universe. Okay, so when this ayah says that there are so many things on ard, that you have to understand that when the Dajjal is going to come up with stuff, you should understand that it is still.
I feel like in this ayah it's talking about this ard. Why? Because it says that we have adorned the earth with attractive things so that we may test people to find out which of them
that's
do the
literally
best.
actually exact meaning of why I take it that it's not going to be from this earth.
Okay, but
The test is of these people.
Being tested,
Test is of these people, but the things are from other planets.
Oh, okay. We are talking about in the context of the
Dajjal,
yeah. Okay.
Dajjal is going to bring about some stuff which is going to be a big test for these people of how can these.
Not just Dajjal, like we have so many things that are going to be coming to this
I
dunya.
will talk about that in later verses.
So many different creatures which are
like
not from here.
Dabatul Ard.
Dabatul Ard.
It's still Ard, but it's not going to come from this planet.
Yeah.
Because this planet animals don't speak.
Yeah.
That is an animal which is going to speak.
Yeah.
And it is also going to come from somewhere else on this planet.
And how he comes to this planet again can be
Is
a
a
portal,
sign.
can be anything.
Well, it is a portal
And
because
then-
at that time all portals are open.
Then we have Ya'juj, Ma'juj.
Also from some other planet.
They don't belong
Or
to.
some other portal or some
Yeah.
other dimension.
Yeah.
So
And,
these are all
then the birds who's gonna carry their dead bodies.
again,
Yeah.
or also the birds who came from for Ashab al-Fil.
Ashab al-Fil, yeah.
Those are the birds who people never saw and people never saw again.
Yeah.
So, and whatever they did not do something which happened scientifically on anything.
On this
not
earth.
just on this with the thing, the weapon that they used. Also, whatever happened to their body was not normal under the laws of physics that happens to things because they decayed in matter of seconds.
Subhanallah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So they didn't just throw stones.
Yeah, there was
but
something
they threw
else.
something with the stones, some chemicals,
or maybe
something.
that is a regular stone in some planet where they come from.
Wow, which has a different chemical composition.
Totally different, and
That
our
can-
bodies cannot adhere to that sort of chemistry.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something which.
Now this is Surah Fil.
Surah Fil.
Almost all Muslims read this in every prayer.
Yeah.
But we never thought about it like this.
Yeah, so
seriously,
that's,
I never thought about it like this. Subhanallah.
So that's an elephant we're talking about. It takes a lot of years before an elephant
And they
becomes.
were the people of elephant. Like they had an army of elephants
yeah.
who were crushed within a very little time.
Seconds.
And then they even decayed.
Right there, they decayed right in front of them. Everybody saw them getting decayed.
Yeah.
So Abdul Muttalib saw the elephants getting decayed. Abdul Muttalib cannot be seeing that all of that decay because it takes years for an elephant to decay.
Yeah. So probably it was not just a miracle of birds throwing stones, but probably what followed. It was a
Both of them
bigger
are.
miracle for the people
Both
of
of them.
Makkah at that time.
I think they actually didn't really, pay heed to how
Miracle,
these
they
birds
were
came
like,
in. Yeah.
it's Allah's house, so he did
I
whatever he
personally,
could.
for Abdul Muttalib, I actually think that he knew all of that, because the kind of dreams he saw before I think he could tell a lot more.
Yeah. In the
A
seerah,
lot
we
of
do
things,
see this.
a lot of weird things happened to Abdul Muttalib, and so I think he had because it's not a regular statement you make to a guy that just give me back my camels. I'll leave the Kaaba to the Lord of Kaaba.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a regular statement. This
Yeah.
guy has seen a lot of weird things, and we just don't know it. And so I don't know why we settle, or how we settle Abdul Muttalib's psychology in his life, and because Abu Zamzam, the story of Abdullah. All of these things were pretty
Extraordinary. Yeah.
Extraordinary. They're weirdly extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I'm probably using the word weird because strange. He lived a very strange. A lot of strange happenings happened to Abdul Muttalib. So okay, even if he did, those people didn't really, they took it a little superstitiously, and they said that Allah sent his special birds as a certain punishment to Abraha. But we know that that's as weird as it gets.
Subhanallah. Okay. Then the next ayah.
But the reminiscence is very clear. The same kind of portal is going to open to send different kind of birds which are going to carry Ya'juj and Ma'juj.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the sky is going to fill up with those birds, and because Ya'juj and Ma'juj are going to be in billions.
Yeah. Subhanallah. Wow. Okay, and indeed we will make that which is upon it into a barren ground.
Yeah.
Okay, now the story starts. Or, sorry, I've lost track. Okay. 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 Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. O Prophet, do you find the companions in the cave and Al-Raqim so wondrous among all our other signs? When the young men sought refuge in cave and said, Our Lord, grant us your mercy and find us a good way out of your ordeal.
This is, I think, okay, let's just finish this, because you're at number 8 right now?
Number 10. This one was number 10.
Yeah, okay, so this is let's just finish the first chapter of the first 10 verses.
Okay.
We're going to go into Surah Kahf in detail.
Okay.
But the first 10 verses have this story started for the Ashab E Kahf now.
Yeah.
Now, see, this is one of the biggest help that we could get from Surah Kahf, that the surah's name is called Kahf.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a cave, and that's a story of certain people who are fleeing. And when the Prophet ﷺ said, when you see a Dajjal, just flee, for you cannot fight or kill him. And that's exactly what happened to the people of the cave. They could not fight or kill that tyrant. So what they did was they fled. And this is a very big indicator of what we should be doing. When the Dajjal is going to come, we should be fleeing, but just like Ashab E Kahf. So, in other words, figuratively speaking, they had the Dajjal of their time, and then they fled into a cave. And that cave turned out to be a time travel. So I think this is pretty much a clue as to what we are going to be, or we should be doing. And those people will be the people of the cave, who are going to be running towards mountains and fleeing and trying to hide and wither out the period of Ad-Dajjal. Because believers will not have any other choice but to wither the period of Ad-Dajjal.
Okay, so ayah number 9 and 10.
Yeah.
It just mentions
A story about Dajjal of a time, not literally, but a tyrant king, and people cannot fight him, so they're fleeing, and they're fleeing towards a cave, and that mountain has a cave, and that cave actually makes them wither that tyrant through time.
Yeah.
So that's what the instruction to all Muslims is. When you find Dajjal, flee towards where? Mountains.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So those people will be at the level of the people of the cave who are going to find the Dajjal and still would be believers, and instead of fighting or doing something or giving bayah, they will flee towards the mountains, and the Surah Kahf might just be able to convert that into a way for them to wither at the Dajjal's time period. However, it's going to do that. We're going to cover that later on through the story of Zulkarnain and Musa alayhi salam, and the very concepts that actually they are given in. So this is the first 10 ayahs.
So
I think we should
we should take a break here.
Yeah, we should take a break for the 10 ayahs, so that because we can pick up a lot of speed in from the 11th ayah to the 30th ayah, and then that's going to be all about the surah, the people of the cave.
Okay, inshallah. So inshallah we'll see you in our next episode. Inshallah. We are back again with our ongoing series on Surah E Kahf. In our last session, we alhamdulillah covered the first 10 verses of Surah E Kahf. And today we're going to be starting from verse number 11 onwards, inshallah. Sahil, so I'm going to read the translation of verse number 11. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So we cast a cover of sleep, this is in brackets, over their ears within the cave for a number of years.
Yeah.
Then we awakened them that we might show which of the two factions was most precise in calculating what extent they had remained in time.
Yeah, no, let's just focus on the first ayah, the first one that you recited. This is a very technical word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used, and this is one of the biggest signs of the surah. And the word is darabna ala adhanihim.
Yes.
That does not mean cast sleep over their ear.
Yeah.
That literally means strike their ear.
Yeah.
Or struck their ears.
Yeah.
Now
because in Arabic darab means to hit, to strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very big opening now. Now this surah is coming to its core of how we should look at how to interpret the signs of the technology we're talking about. The first questions of the Jews were about the companions of the cave, and that companion of the cave, actually there's something weird that actually happened to the companions of the cave, right? This is what happened to the companion of the cave. This is the very core. We just skip it just like that, and we're not going to get anything. This is the most important verse, if not the most important verse, then one of the most important verses. Darabna ala azanihim means striking the ear. Now the kind of translations that are usually available, that means someone just came in and struck a blow on their ear, as if slapped or punched those people. Now there are not just one man. This is a group of people.
Yeah.
So if you have to strike simultaneously 7, 8, 9 people, it naturally shows you how you can actually strike the ears of everybody, and that is how to, and that's to create a certain sound that simultaneously hits everybody's ear exactly in the same way.
Yeah.
Or 7 angels, or an angel with 7 copies would strike or punch their ear.
Yeah.
But it makes way more sense to interpret it as a sound wave. Because a sound wave striking the ear would be darabana ala adhani. And that is how we should actually look into it. That there was a certain sound that was created in the cave when they were there, so that they would, furthermore we will see during the next few verses, because this is the most exciting part of the surah. And this is why I need you to just focus on this for as long as we can, so that we can actually try and get the actual sense and the flavor and the technology we're talking about here. So when we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala struck their ears, that's 14 ears minimum, that's 7 minimum, could be 9, could be more, could be hundreds for all we know.
Yeah.
So Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says only Allah knows how many of them there were. So as minimum as 7 or 9 or
Yeah.
so that's a sound wave that actually hit them, and they all fell asleep right away.
Yeah.
Or because why I'm saying right away is because it's not just one man.
Yeah.
7 people, one man just steadily dozing off would be another man's experience.
Yeah.
He would see the rest of the 2-3 people just falling down.
And would
That
be
never
able
happened.
to recount what happened.
Yeah, and he would be able to recall and tell everybody that this is what happened, but they didn't find that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how we should look into how to really interpret this technicality of what actually happened and how it happens.
Sahil,
How time
I don't know
travel
if
happens.
it's appropriate to quote it here, but there is a movie, I think Jimmy Carter or something Carter, on the subject of time travel. And I think in that movie they have shown this concept where something happens to the ears of the person in that, which makes him time travel to another planet or something.
Well, there could be because.
And secondly, there are certain theories which says that portals or this traveling through dimensions open have something to do with sound waves.
Resonance,
Yeah,
something
resonance,
resonating frequency. And there are a lot of theories of a certain frequency at which the atmosphere will open its door towards wherever that door will lead you. And you know what? Quite frankly, I wouldn't really think, or we can't just cast them all out, because this literally this is the Quran we're talking about here. So when the Quran says "Darabna ala adhanihim," which means something did happen through the course of sound waves. And these guys not just fell asleep because they didn't really fall asleep. You'll find out later on that it was a totally different kind of state that these guys were in. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala later on says that if you had seen them, you would have thought that they're awake. This is a very big, we'll come to that later on. So this is something else that happened through the sound wave to these people. And did their bodies just scatter up, or did they just fall down, or did they just stood still and just were frozen into whatever state that they were in? Even though Allah Ta'ala says they were laid down. So they did lie down, or the way Allah Ta'ala says later on, and you'll find out that they were laid down. But it can also be taken as that there are 2 states of these people, in which one state is how they're laying down, and the other state is something which is not in the state of lying down. We'll come to that. So, but the point on this verse is that it is so clear that something happened to their ears. Now, if you look at the internal structure of the ear, you'll find out a certain shape. The human anatomy of the internal ear. Let's just take it from the external side. This certain shape. It's a very clear shape that actually is in
kind of a spiral.
It's a spiral, So let's just assume that people know what a spiral is. Everything in the heavenly cosmos is in a spiral motion. Everything. We think that the earth is revolving around the sun, even though the sun is also in motion. And the earth is not revolving around the sun like that. Earth is actually
together are going
it's a spiral going up. Or going down, doesn't matter. And the Fibonacci series also is very, very eloquently talking about how the signature of creation.
And probably you mentioned in some of your other videos where that the structure of a wormhole or a black hole.
I'll come to that, because that's where I'm coming at. And in this very surah, that real word is used.
Okay.
The word sadaf, the actual manifestation of the spiral and the Fibonacci numbers. When we see that, we actually denote the Fibonacci through a seashell or a shell, and this is the word sadaf that is used in SURA E KAHF, and that's the word used for the portal or the way through which you can actually presumably so, travel through, it's like a gateway from one dimension or the other, or one part of the universe to the other. It could be anything. But that word itself, sadaf, that spiral, that little wormhole is inside our ear. That's a physical part of our body that literally looks like a seashell.
I guess anyone can just Google and see the internal structure of the ear, and you can see.
You'll see that seashell inside our body, every human ear.
There's a special name for cochlear or something you call that. Any bone.
Well, there has to be, but the real question is, that shape is not a coincidental shape. There are no coincidences. And that is a very big opening towards this whole realm of how one being can actually, play around with time, maybe dimensions or whatever. And that also leads, since it's inside the ear, that leads to how sound can actually be one of the tools to utilize.
And I must clear one point here, like it's not that we are verifying Quran through science, but it's actually we have to verify science through the Quran.
The other way around.
If we are talking about multiverse or many worlds at this time, in fact, like Muslims were supposed to be the first people to talk about these things, because the first ayah starts with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So we always had the concept of Alameen. We always had the concept of 7 earths, many skies. So we verify science through this. And this is a very good indication for scientists to look into this to see what sound can do.
And it literally shows in the surah that sound can do, because it is a matter of sound we're talking about here. So darabna ala azanihim means plural. At the same time, they were all struck. And when we hear this word darabna ala azanihim, naturally we can actually infer that it was a sound that was struck simultaneously in all of the ears of those people.
Okay. So then we woke them so that we could make clear which of the two parties was better able to work out how long they had been there.
Now this verse actually shows two different things. One, it's a clear account of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us. It's a very clear way of narrating a story for the future people like us to know who was right and who was wrong. And the second thing is of what happens at an experiential level. This is what Allah Ta'ala is telling us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally tells us their experience in their own words, so that we would know of how it actually feels. It is such a big way, such an amazing way of narrating a story that as humanly it could have been defined. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that for us. That two parties started arguing about how long did you think we were asleep? And both of the parties, gave their accounts. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that in literally in his ayah that then we made them argue against each other over who was right and who's wrong in understanding or recalling what was the actual span of their sleep.
Okay, so now I'm gonna keep reading on, and you have to stop me where you have to make a point. So this is verse number 13. Prophet, we shall tell you their story as it really was. They were young men who believed in their Lord, and we gave them more and more guidance. We gave strength to their hearts when they stood up and said, Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and earth. We shall never call upon any God other than Him, for that would be an outrageous thing to do.
This is a very clear understanding, as basic as it gets when it comes down to Islam, that guidance is only going to come through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, without any intervention of any angel. Guidance is a direction and an amr of Allah, and whoever Allah guideth is going to be saved. And this is what Allah Ta'ala is saying in the time of Dajjal. There won't be no argumentation or convincing of anyone or anything. It is a choice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide whoever He wills. And if we are going to help as much as we can to make that psychology clear to our younger lot, the future generations, it'll be easier for them to be on the right path where Allah is going to have mercy on them and pick them as the righteous people. Because this is an ayah which is saying very clearly that Allah chose them.
Yeah.
They didn't choose Allah, Allah chose them. This is.
I think there's one point I would like to make here is that our aqidah is that Allah guides everyone. It's people who have to make themselves eligible for that guidance. So whoever tries sincerely, Allah definitely will choose them. And whoever
That's what I meant by
denies,
the right path in psychology. That's what we have to make it easy for our generations to come to not be burdened by mutated psychology and going into full-on argumentation before they can actually believe. We should believe before we argue. And that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, that ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. So, in Surah Baqarah, in this very verse, Allah is saying that this is a book which guideth the muttaqeen. So, muttaqeen are the people who are going to be guided. This is something which we can connect with this ayah, and we can clearly see that if we can develop taqwa as a psychology of our kids, then they will be guided, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So, this is not a debate of qada al qadr. This is just a debate of what is the responsibility of the parents to help them get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sure.
Because the Dajjal is going to open the door of argumentation. There's no doubt about this. All the hadiths are saying that. He is presenting proofs and arguments and justifications and this and that. And people who are going to fall prey. I'll give you a little hadith here so that you can understand. In the end of time, Allah's Prophet says that whoever is going to look into the fitan, the intensity of the fitan is going to be so much that whoever is going to look into the fitan will fall prey to the fitan. This is such a big thing. So you have to understand, in the next ayah which you just recited, the last one, these are the people who just believed and have faith that there is no deity except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no God but one God. And this was enough for them to be guided. They stood firm. They were in the time where most of the people had lost their faith and belief. These are the only few people who were left. And instead of fighting the billions of people, well, millions in their case, but billions in the Dajjal case, instead of just trying to argue and trying do whatever, they made sure that their iman is safe. And after a certain point in time, these people gave up and they just fled. They literally fled because there was no other choice.
Subhanallah. These people of ours have taken gods other than Him. Why do they not produce clear evidence about them? Who could be more unjust than someone who makes up lies about God?
Well, that's the wrong word. Who could be more zalim? فَمَنْ أَظْلَمْ مِمَّنْ كَذَبَ. Who is the biggest of the biggest tyrant and the wrongdoer?
Oppressor,
The oppressor. And that is the guy who actually, puts forth lies on the deity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an ayah which repeats so many times in the Quran, and this is where these people are saying that why are they putting lies on Allah? And this is where the Prophet ﷺ said in the time of Dajjal, so that we will understand that this man is going to claim to be the Lord, and no matter in the shape of Jesus or not, that the Prophet ﷺ said your Lord is not one-eyed. Okay, your Lord is not one-eyed. That means this man is going to be claiming the Lord, and this is what these people are saying, that why are you associating anyone else with God, which the Dajjal is going to do, and or even if he just claims to be Lord instead of just claiming to be Isa alayhi salam. These people of the cave are saying that فَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَذَبَ. Who is a bigger oppressor or wrongdoer than a guy who is putting forth lies on the deity of Allah, which means anyone who claims to be Allah is one of the people who is addressed here.
Now that you have left such people and what they worshipped instead of God, take refuge in the cave. God will shower His mercy on you and make you an easy way out of your ordeal.
The Prophet ﷺ also said that at the end of times, head towards the mountains. and flee from Dajjal. So these are the people who are doing that. This is such an amazing story that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and the Prophet is saying Surah Kahf will save you from Dajjal. That literally shows of how relevant this surah is in the time of Dajjal.
You could have seen the light of the sun as it rose, moving away to the right of their cave, and when it set, moving away to the left of them, while they lay in the wide space inside the cave. This is one of God's signs. Okay, this is in the brackets. This is one of God's signs. Those people God guides are rightly guided, but you will find no protector to lead to the right path those He leaves to stray.
In the last, in this ayah, the last few words.
Moving away to the left of them.
In Arabiya.
Okay, this is.
In the last part.
وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْشِدًا.
Before that.
Okay. I'm going to read the whole ayah.
Okay.
وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ تَزَاوَرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَإِذَا غَرَبَتْ تَقْرِضُهُمْ ذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ وَهُمْ فِي فَجْوَةٍ مِّنْهِ ذَلِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ مَنْ يَهْدِ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ الْمُهْتَدِ وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْشِدًا.
So there are three things in this ayah very clearly. First and foremost, it is such an amazing way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has literally given us the blueprint of that portal through which these people were, traveling through time. Now, if you use the basic two-dimensional paper and pencil or three-dimensional structures, you are not going to be able to construct this sort of structure. Because when Allah Ta'ala says anything which Allah Ta'ala is referring to as min ayatullah, that is not an ordinary thing. If you can see that in the Quran, whenever something extraordinary, weird, strange, which is happening, and Allah Ta'ala is actually describing it, Allah Ta'ala is saying this is an ayatullah, which means this is something which you won't be able to explain through regular mechanisms which you have developed through whatever science or prior to science which we were doing. Now, if you actually plot through a pencil and paper the structure, you will not be able to do that, because when the sun is rising, when the sun is rising, and if we put any structure on the plane and then move the sun away towards the right, then we are naturally moving towards the left as well. And this is why this becomes one of the most strange structures. You really cannot do that, and trust me, I've tried many times. You have to have a very peculiar structure for a sun to move away from the right when it's rising and move away towards the left when it's setting. In a 2D model, you cannot put a structure or create a structure in your mind. You have to put that structure in the air somehow, or inside a certain dimension where the earth is moving or the sun is moving away when it's setting, when it's rising towards the right. Because if you actually justify or fulfill one of the conditions of any structure from which the sun moves away when it's rising, then you are not going to be able to make the sun move away towards the left when it's setting. It is not mathematically possible for a structure to have a sun moving away towards the right in the ascent and still make it move away towards the left when it's descending. This is why it's the ayat.
The translator here has added in brackets light of the sun. So he says.
I don't know why he did that.
No, because I have 2 points to make here. If you move light towards a prism, light bends, or through a thicker, denser medium, light does bend. So if it's not about the sun and it's only about the light, then probably that cave was in a certain dimension which acted maybe as a prism, that the light bent in another direction. It moves away from its line.
You're right. That's the only way to explain it.
There's another explanation like about the black holes. We know that when the light comes in the path, a black hole comes in the path of the light curves above the black hole and bends around it and then goes away. So even there we can see this phenomena where the light is moving away from the point it's coming from.
That's true.
Yeah.
But this is on planet Earth. These are regular human beings who ran.
But the structure of the black hole, like as I compared it with the prism, any thicker medium
That's true.
will bend the light.
That's true. But whatever we're saying, it's not normally placed in the, not every cave is like this.
Yeah.
Actually, no cave that we've ever seen is like this.
Yeah.
And if we are to move the sun away towards the right of any structure, we'll have to go outside the planet for the sun to move away while it's setting towards the left.
Yeah.
So, but that didn't happen outside this planet, or did it?
Yeah.
Or did it? That's the real question we have to ask, because this is such an amazing key that if we use this key and build a lock around this key, you'll find out that lock is going to happen to be a gateway towards many dimensions, if not different universes. So this is one of the most interesting ways. And I don't know how the scholars have commented on this, because let me just show it to you here. If this is the cave and the sun rises here, it is moving towards the cave when it's rising. So the sun has to be moving away from towards the right when it's rising.
Yeah.
So you're putting the cave behind the sun when it's rising.
Yeah.
That's technically not possible.
Yeah.
So let's just say that the cave is facing north.
Yeah.
Okay? And if it's facing north and the sun is rising from the east, it is not moving away, it's moving towards.
Yeah.
Okay? If I put it in the south, still the sun is not moving away.
Yeah.
Anything on the planetary plane, when the sun rises, the sun is moving towards them.
Yeah.
It's not moving away from them.
Yeah.
So we lose it right there.
Yeah.
I don't know how we actually reconcile all of this and what kind of structure are we looking at. So let's just assume that there is a tiny little spot, which is a structure, of course, and that's a mountain. And then the sun rises like this. I do not know how to make the sun move away from the right. Let's just assume that we do that. That this is just the shadow or the sunlight is moving.
The light. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you cannot reverse the condition of that very light moving towards away from the left when the sun is going to set.
Yeah.
So this is where the mind baffles, and I'm sure there's an explanation if we assume a lot of other dimensions, and then make the sun light, if not the sun behave like that. But this word does not mean sunlight. It literally means sun.
Yeah.
So we can't just first and foremost just extrapolate the meaning of sunlight out of this word, because it does not say sunlight.
Yeah.
So that would be a little far-fetched just to use.
But I think because the translator has inserted it into brackets, so probably they must have taken it from somewhere from the tafseer.
Translation, because he also inserted the signs of Allah into bracket as well. I don't know why he did that, because it's a black and white word.
Yeah, that's Abdul Halim, by the way.
Yeah, why would he do that? You know what I'm saying?
I think let's not talk about the scholars here.
I did not. You did.
Well, what are they
I
doing?
just said this is something. I love Abdul Halim. That's the only scholar I actually recommend to people. But why would he do that? Yeah. It's an actual word. Yeah, you can't just put the word in the bracket.
Probably we can move on from here and ask Abdul Halim if we ever get a chance, inshallah. Okay. About the prism thing, I guess we're gonna discuss that.
Yeah, let's just let's tell you what the prism
if
works.
There is a prism, imagine
you'll have to put the prism behind the cave.
No, just give me a minute. If there's a cave here, and this is acting as a prism, or there's a prism here.
Yeah.
Whenever the light comes here, it doesn't hit it; it moves away. When the sun is here, the prism is moving.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what I mean. Behind the or around the cave, there was a prism of some sort, and there could be a layer of whatever medium that did envelop the whole cave, and that did not make the light enter the cave just like that, and actually diffuse sunlight did enter.
And I don't know why I'm using the word prism, because prism breaks the light into different colors. Probably any denser material, any denser medium.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. So move on.
It's a very interesting matter.
Yeah. So you would have thought they were awake
though they lay asleep, we turned them over to the right and left, with their dog stretching out its forelegs at the entrance. If you had seen them, you would have turned and run away, filled with fear of them.
Well, if you read all of the translations, which I do, you'll find a very weird word that most of the Muslim scholars have used to translate this word. That you would have turned back in flight with an L. I do not know why they use that. Or maybe they were on the same line that I was thinking. But if you look at all the translations in English, and then you'll be amazed that more than 80% of all the translators use the phrase, you would have turned back in flight.
Yeah, Sahih International says the same.
F-L-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
That's not a phrase of English.
If you had looked at them, you would have turned from them in flight and been filled
I can
by
understand
them
if
with
they say
terror.
fright, but that is redundant because the terror word is later on.
Yeah.
Ajaba, ro'ba. So the real thing is that why are Muslim scholars using the word flight? That's something which really astonished me at times, because it's not just one guy.
Yeah.
It's just about most of the people were using the word flight.
Wow.
So that's why we just have to refer to the whole of the meanings of every word of Arabic here. And if we can actually just the first part of the ayah, let me just break it up for you.
The Arabic?
Yeah, just the
أعوذ
first part.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلب.
Yeah, that's enough. That means, see now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that He laid them down. That's the word that you know. If you can just read the English now, so that let's just break it into three parts.
And you would think them awake while they were asleep.
Yeah. Now, this is a very common sense thing.
Yeah.
7 people who are not moving are laying down on the ground. Who would think that they're asleep or awake? Why would anyone assume that they're awake if they're laying down on the floor not moving?
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That means
Either they are dead or they are sleeping
yeah.
in that position. Yeah.
Yeah, that means, it's a far-fetched thing to just go, oh yeah, I can just go in and look at their eyes and their eyes are open. You know what I'm saying? But that's not a scary sight.
Yeah. Plus, there's no sunlight coming in, so probably it wasn't even that much light inside that you could see the eyes.
If there's no sunlight, then nobody's going to get scared.
Yeah.
Because you cannot see anything in pitch black. But I don't get scared when I see people, and even if I do get scared, I'm too much of a weak heart. But I am not going to be terrified by looking at 7 people lying down on the floor.
Yeah.
That literally means that these people were not lying down, because it does say lying down. But if we had seen them, we would not have seen them lying down. Now, with this perspective, read the translation again. Now try and understand what I'm saying here, and then you'll understand why the word terror is used
And you think,
from the beginning of this ayah.
and you would think them awake while they were asleep, and returned them to the right and to the left, while their dog stretched his forelegs at the entrance. If you had looked at them, you would have turned from them in flight and been filled by them with terror.
Yeah, why? See?
Well, I have a point here.
Yeah.
The point here is the beings and the objects in a smaller dimension cannot imagine how is it going to be in a higher dimension. But the higher dimensional beings can see how the smaller dimensional beings look, or the objects. For example, an object in 1D can only see a dot or a line of a 2D object, of an object in a 2D. Or a 2D one, an object in a 2-dimensional space, if looks at the 3-dimensional object, will only see 2 lines. Similarly, we cannot see anything of the 4th dimension. We can only see them in the weirdest, unimaginable shape. There are computer softwares that try to attempt to create a 4th dimension, and then they show the same object first in the 3D graphics, then they try to show the same object in the 4-dimensional. So it's a computer simulation. But there's a video on the YouTube, I would recommend you watch it. There's a human 3-dimensional head, and the graphic designer, whoever is playing around with it, he shows it in the first in 1D and then 2D and then 3D, rotates the whole camera around the human head. As soon as he inserts a fourth dimension into the simulation, that whole head twists, breaks into a very weird, the computer doesn't understand what's it doing, and that head is not even recognizable, So
but that doesn't
it's
fit
a
here.
very weird thing.
It doesn't fit here because
Now, why I'm saying here is, if they had entered into a higher dimension where there was a time difference with the time of the earth, then definitely if you look at them, to you they will be the weirdest things ever.
I understand that, but that does not fit the meaning of the first part of this ayah. If I look at a four-dimensional human being, I will be scared.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to think he's awake.
he's awake or asleep, yeah.
Understand?
Yeah,
But
probably
that's-
their shape wouldn't be even
Yeah.
recognizable.
Yeah, that's the least of my worry at that time, whether he's awake or asleep.
Yeah.
I won't be able to think whether he's a human being or not.
Yeah, yeah,
So that is where the key is.
yeah.
The key is
So you can see them asleep, but yet they are scary enough to scare you away.
you can see them that there are people who are awake.
Yeah, awake, yeah, yeah.
Why would... See, this is the real key. The difference between a guy who's awake and a guy who's asleep is maybe he's sitting down or walking versus a guy who's lying down.
Yeah,
That's one. The other difference is two guys who are lying down, one has an eyes open, one does not.
yeah,
Okay, let's just keep it to a simpler scenario.
Yeah.
If you were to see them, they were awake, that means that, their eyes are open.
yeah,
And the third one is that, if a person is, even if he's lying down but he's moving around, then people think he's awake.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I don't really my mind does not really, think that it's all about just the eyes opening or not, because, that's something which does not really scare anybody.
yeah.
Because we have to look both of the aspects here.
Yeah.
That the first thing is that it's a sleep and awake thing,
Yeah,
and they're definitely going to be seen awake, and then it'll be terrifying sight.
yeah,
It's absolutely terrifying. You've been running. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you would have fled.
yeah.
You would have run from terror. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the exact word. So understand how important this concept is. You have to understand that it has to be a terrifying sight
Yeah.
of somebody who's actually awake.
Yeah.
Okay?
It does say minhum firaram.
Firaram, yeah. Firaram means you would have run.
Yeah.
You would have just run with terror. Now, why would anybody run with terror when he looks at 7 awake people sitting down together?
Or maybe sleeping or
I don't know.
standing or whatever. Yeah.
Even if somebody's lying down, then that's the least probability of an audience getting terrorized.
Yeah.
Because psychologically speaking, a guy who's lying down is the least of the threatening state.
Yeah.
For all we know. That's,
That's how the cops make you lie down and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So if I'm walking around and I see a bunch of people lying down and a bunch of people who are standing up, and then another bunch of people who are not just standing up, who are running, and then the last bunch of people who are running towards me. Now the scariest sight is the bunch who's running towards me. Least scariest sight is the people who are just lying down.
Lying down, yeah.
And I'm considering all of them as awake right now.
Yeah.
All of them are awake.
Yeah.
And the least of them all would be that people who are awake, but I can't see them, whether they're awake or not. But that's not the condition here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now understand, psychologically speaking, this is a totally different state. Definitely not lying down. Or even if they are lying down, they are very visibly showing those signs of being awake, which means they're moving about, or maybe they're just, because the ayah says, we're just shifting
Tossing
them from left
them,
and we're tossing them. And the word does not say tossing. It just says moving left or right. You know what I'm saying? So we can't. We have to be really careful as to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that toss. So this is something which is another one of those amazing ways of Allah
It says
subhanahu wa ta'ala.
nuqallibuhum is qalb. Qalb means constantly changing. So that al-yamini wa that al-shimal.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean they're tossing while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even though commentaries all over the world are saying that an angel is just shifting their angle while they're asleep. And if they're asleep, they're going to actually have a body
Body ache, sores,
sores, and not just sores, but since there's this 300 plus years we're talking about, so it's a lot more than just sores. So this is something which is the most interesting part about how this is happening. First, the strike on the ear, and then
they're sleeping but still awake.
They're sleeping but awake, and they're in a terrifying state.
And then they are being turned on the left and right.
The verse before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says one party is arguing with the other party. And the biggest sign, which I missed out, I'm sorry, was the fact that none of those two parties said that I think we've been asleep for more than 100 years because, man, your beard is about 6 feet long, your nails are out, you got gray hair, man, and you look like a skeleton. Nobody said that. Because if somebody is asleep for more than a year, he's not going to wake up and say, hey, you know what, I just slept for a day or maybe two, because his anatomy is going to change. And that is the sign of time travel. That is the sign of time stagnation. That's the time of dimension. That's the sign of dimensions or portals or whatever you want to call it, but that's definitely time travel, because these people stayed in their current state through the ways Allah is describing, and that's a very terrifying sight to see. And the technologies use the sound, and the proof of this is all over this. These 3-4 ayahs, in the shortest possible way, Allah Ta'ala has narrated a story in which He's given to us, and it doesn't really take a big thinker to understand this. It's so simple, and this is why Allah Ta'ala's wisdom. You can see that He wrote the very verse that is an account of one party talking about how much time they slept for. And that's the real value of that verse. And that's how important that verse is.
There's one point I have to make here, because we've been using the word time travel a lot. So generally the time travel means being able to traverse the time backwards or forwards, means going in the past or going in the future. But here we can see that this scenario may be only traveling into another dimension. Might not be a time travel.
No, it is definitely time travel, because they're going to come out and find out that they've traveled to the future.
Yeah, but if they were staying in a dimension where there was a time difference with the Earth, even then the same thing is going to happen.
Still time travel.
So it doesn't mean that they turn into future or the past.
No, but
that's what I'm saying actually, because time travel is seen mainly.
No, but they did time travel to the future. They went outside and they found out that
Oh yeah, finally they did.
So they did.
Yeah.
Now, how they've traveled could be an interdimensional or interplanetary movement.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
But it's not the fact. You see, there's so many clarities in this. It's not ambiguous at all, because they stayed in the cave.
Yeah.
That's why Allah Ta'ala says, if you had seen them, you would run with terror.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to make actually, that they did not travel in the future or the past while they were in the cave. Only once they were awake, they found out that they are in the future.
Which means that they did travel to the future.
Yeah.
So the fact that their bodies didn't change makes them a time traveler.
Yeah.
The fact that, because the angel was not giving them a shave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or even dyeing their color, hair color, or preserving their clothes, or their muscles, or their skin. No.
Yeah.
It was done through this way, this most
giving them
interesting
nutrition
way.
through the IV.
Yeah. This is not something which is. And also the word is wide space. Wide space.
Wide space. Yeah.
So they slept in a wide space.
Yeah.
So that actually factors out that video of the cave of the in Jordan, where they give you a tour of the people of the cave, because there's no white space there. Oh my God, that's like the smallest possible thing that you could possibly find out when they give you that tour. And if you people who've gone to that cave, which is known as the actual cave of SURA E KAHF, you'll find out that there's no white space for 7 people just like that. It's a small of a compartment that they've actually managed to dig up somehow. And this is why I think it was somewhere else, and it was such a big event that Jews came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked about him. If it were just so evident, Prophet ﷺ would have directed it, or they wouldn't have been able to ask it as an enchanting story. Okay? So this is a very, very big very big eye opener, a door towards understanding that the choice of words Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used is so beautiful that it is speaking to us.
Yeah.
It is opening the door of technology and bad technology, and travel, and the way time is travel and what happens, how scary it is to look at, and what kind of situation a man is going through, and he's traversing through time in hundreds of years, and how it happens through your ear, or at least one of those ways. And this is why it becomes the most important surah in the Quran in terms of this sort of technology.
Yeah. Okay, so
again, but one last thing. This also shows that Dajjal, when he's going to go through 100 years of a day, his one day is going to be 100 years. This is exactly what happened, because one party says maybe a day or half a day.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was 300 days, 300 years.
yeah,
So it shows as to how these things can be done, and the fact that these were not prophets. So if Dajjal does that, does not make him a prophet. That's the first take from this.
wow.
So just a little heads up because there's a lot more coming. You just started the story of the people of the cave.
Okay. And similarly, we awakened them, and they might question one another. Said a speaker from among them, "How long have you remained here?" They said, "We have remained a day or a part of a day." They said, "Your Lord is most knowing of how long you remained. So send one of you with this silver coin of yours to the city, and let him look to which is the best of food, and bring you provision from it, and let him be cautious, and let no one be aware of you."
There you go. So that's literally the signs of what kind of situation believers are going to be in the time of Dajjal. However, this is what I was referring to. The party says day or part of a day.
Yeah.
That means their body did not change.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. If I sleep right now, I'm going to wake up. I'm not going to have an inch of an indicator that is going to show me that I slept for 100 and some years. And the fact that it was a cave and not a building was such an amazing choice, because caves do not change their state over 100 and 300 years. And even any other thing. If it were a forest, it would have been a totally different forest if they were waking up.
Yeah.
So it had to be under some ground, in a stone structure, which lasts for more than a state of that structure lasts for hundreds and hundreds of years without any visible change. Otherwise, if they were in a forest and one party asked, how long would you think we were asleep? He would be like, hey, you know what, when we came back, when we were asleep, when we were trying to fall asleep, there were so many trees here.
Yeah.
And now you can see that this is a big jungle.
Yeah.
This is a forest, or there's nothing here. We fell asleep in a jungle.
Yeah.
There are buildings around us.
Yeah.
So this is why the privacy of the whole thing is just a secondary concept. The primary concept is the fact that it was a choice of a settlement which does not change its anatomy over hundreds and hundreds of years. And that's also one of the signs that a thing which does not change its states over time is the best place to travel through time, because that place did last the test of time.
Yeah.
So this is something which is a little philosophical.
Probably if it's a door to going somewhere, it's the door for to come back.
So that the door would remain.
If it changes,
so
you won't have the
door
way back.
Yeah, the door.
Yeah, wow.
So this is why caves and stones, because they don't change their shape.
Yeah.
And that door or gateway is going to last as long as the stone is going to last.
Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah. So the last ayah for today, ayah number 20. Indeed, if they come to know of you, they will stone you or return you to their religion, and never would you succeed then ever.
There you go. That's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said. If you fight him, you're going to lose. That's at Dajjal. Now if you think this is the verse at the time of Dajjal, and then you recite the translation, let's assume that Dajjal is out there. Okay, and then you recite. You and I are talking to each other. We're hiding somewhere in the cave and the Dajjal is out there. And if you recite the verse in English, this is how the feel and psychology should be.
Indeed, if they come to know of you, they will stone you or return you to their religion. And never would you succeed then ever.
This is exactly verbatim of all of the future people who are going to be hiding from a Dajjal. And if someone said, hey, you know what, I'm going to be a smart aleck and I'm going to try and do something, the other people are going to
Let's
be like,
have a dialogue. Let's
let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I have an argument. I'm going to show him from the Quran and I'm going to show him from Hadith. Nope. The Prophet himself said that he's going to stone you or force you into his religion or kill you or whatever. This is why just flee and keep it a secret. Your iman should be in hiding at that time.
Subhanallah. Thank you very much, Sahil. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
In our next program, we'll come with the next 10 ayahs of Surah